All right, let's see here. No. But have you got everybody recorded?
Yeah.
As much as we can.
Yeah, as much as I can, I do.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. We'll call to order. It's just a shade after 9. And Bruce, according to my agenda, you have prayer and pledge this morning. So you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you join me in prayer, please. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as commissioners to do work for the county. We thank you for Hillsdale County. We thank you for all the blessings and comforts you give us every day. We thank you for the wisdom that you give us, and we ask for that wisdom to be in abundance today. Help us, Lord, to do your work and do it in a way that treats people as loving and forgiving as you treat us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And anyone that is not speaking, if you would please mute so we can avoid any serious feedback. I know we've said that before, but I'll say it again just as a regular housekeeping thing. So, let's see. Public comment. Is there any public on that would like to address the board? Doug is here in attendance this morning. Doug, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. First of all, congratulations on the end of the year, end of the term. Congratulations for that. And thank you so much for your service during, for all the commissioners during your term as Board of Commissioners, Hillsdale County. There's 2 items of concern that I have on today's agenda. One is what is called the reassignment of a county administrator in name, and the other is an appointment to the Lifeways Board. Neither of these are emergencies, and both require more process prior to decision. In particular, Lifeways, in 2020, Lifeways appropriated $274,000 from the general fund, and we'll do that again in 2021. The representative on Lifeways should be a commissioner who is hands-on and directly connected with county actions. There's many questions to be asked and answered, and discussion, debate, and decision needs to have a chance to run its course. And while it's true that you can do this, we're 13 days away from seating a new board, and both of these items can be addressed early in the season of the new board. So today, I suggest remove these from the agenda. If not, if a motion occurs, move the table. If that does not occur and a vote happens, vote no on these 2 items. They can be addressed easily, and quickly in the new session of the new board. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Any other members of the public wish to address the board? Go ahead. Step to the podium, please. Mr. Lashway is here this morning.
I just like to agree with what was said. Makes sense.
Okay. If you couldn't hear him, he said he agrees with what Doug just said. So, thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? All right, moving along. Consent agenda.
Mark, this is Ruth.
Go ahead.
I'd like to pull off of the consent agenda 124, 126, 136, and 137. I have questions on those.
Where do you want to put them, Ruth?
Wherever you say, sir.
I would like to say something, Mr. Chair, if I may. In reference to 2124, it can be placed under my committee reports, please.
Okay.
Okay. 126 was the other one, Ruth?
Yep.
Uh,
You want to put that under mine, Mark? I just have a question, that's all. It's not a big deal.
Okay. What was the next one, please?
136.
Okay,
137.
Put that under Bruce, if that's all right with Bruce.
yeah, where do you want 137?
Wherever you want.
I'll slide it under May because I probably know more about it than anyone else.
Okay, can you put where those are going? 124 goes where?
Okay, 124 goes under Namrata. 126 under Ruth. 136 is under Bruce, and 137 will go under myself.
And with that, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended.
I second that.
Any further comments or suggestions, changes? Okay, all those in favor? It's a roll call,
Mark.
so we need,
I
say
don't
that
know what
again? Yes,
happened. The whole what just happened.
okay, just a quick recap, and what you'll be voting on is the consent agenda as amended. 124 was pulled and put under Namrata. 126 was pulled and put under Ruth. 136 was pulled and put under Bruce, and 137 was pulled and put under my report. Did you get that now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So now we will vote on that consent agenda as amended.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gaines.
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda is approved as amended. Correspondence is listed. Is there any questions or comments on correspondence? Hearing none, we'll move on to the regular agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Mark, this is Ruth.
Go ahead.
I want to add these resolutions, 146, 147, and 148. I want to put 147 under Bruce. if it's okay with him. And I want to put 148 under you. And then I don't know where you want to put 146, if you want to put it under Namrata or wherever you want. Please.
Planning Commission. Appointment. Want it under you or under name?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, under me is fine.
Okay.
So 146 will go under myself.
Okay.
Bear with us a minute. Terry's having trouble getting, let me, can you text David that he needs to give Terry a call?
I don't know if he can, and I don't have Dave's text.
Oh,
He's,
okay.
they're down at the sheriff's department, and he was headed right out there.
Okay, okay.
So Scott, I could call Scott.
Yep. Jody's gonna call Scott to help Terry get on, seeing how she's next up, but we can keep continuing until she does get on. But back to,
Terry Beer's having a problem getting on. What's
Ruth, you added,
147 to Bruce,
yep,
and then 148 to you.
okay, thank you.
Mark,
I need.
Yes, sir.
resolution 133
Yes,
has a substitute for it.
I have it right here in my, I have it right here in my hand.
Okay, do we need to take care of that now or just when it comes up?
I already have a replacement resolution.
Right, we've got the replacement here. I guess since I've got it, I'll read through it when we get to it, Bruce.
Okay, I've got it too. Everybody's got it because I told Derek to send it out to everybody, but
Okay, okay.
just
Well,
deal
that's
with,
good. That's
deal with
good.
that when we get to it.
To give to Scott.
Okay. We're dealing with technical difficulties here. Hang on.
I know.
8050.
Yeah, send the idea of the password.
Okay, thank you. All right, bye. Okay, he's gonna call.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Sorry for the confusion, one and all. All right, so we have,
Have we gotten a motion to approve it as amended?
right, we need,
I'll move to the regular agenda as amended.
I second that.
okay. So let me recap. We've got 146, 147, 148 added in. We have a substitute for 133, which will be read in its entirety when we get there. Is there anything else? Hearing none, we will take a vote on the regular agenda as amended.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes,
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes. Okay.
Mark, this is Ruth.
Yep, go ahead.
I've got I've got some constituents that are texting me and asking me that they thought that this was a virtual meeting.
It is.
It sounds like there are a couple members of the public that commented under public comment that are there in the room. They're wondering what's going on.
Well, for one, Mr. Ingles is a commissioner-elect, so I allowed him in the room. Mr. Lashley is here and I wasn't going to turn him away. I guess that was my discretion.
Okay, that's fine. No problem.
It is posted as a virtual meeting. So I bent the rule a little bit for Mr. Lashaway, but Doug is entitled to be here and Brad is here as well, both as commissioner-elects. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks, Mark. Yep.
All right. I don't think Terry's on yet. Is Terry there yet?
Terry and I are both here after much difficulty.
Yeah, we're here.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay, am I gonna get a kickback from, okay. So, we sent you, good morning, happy holidays. We sent you attachments. Wendy was going to try to pull it up on your screen, but with the difficulties, I'm not sure we'll be able to do that. Did you get all the information we sent?
Yes, we did. I did. Anyway, what about the other commissioners? Some of it came
Bruce,
late last
Mark?
night when I got it.
Yes, everyone has it, I believe.
Okay. What I wanted to start with was, first of all, thank you. Always a pleasure. It's been a challenging year. I wanted to start with the services breakout sheet that has fiscal year 2019, but also includes changes from fiscal year 18, fiscal year 19, and then shows fiscal year 20. And so I don't think I need to say that we've had some, because of our shutdowns, obviously our numbers went down in the number of services that we've provided to individuals. However, if you look under the home delivered meals, you'll see a pretty huge increase, 28% increase. And in part, that was due to the CARES Act funding. And we had a number of people, 190 people that have been added for our Meals on Wheels program. So that's worth at least mentioning. We have continued to provide our equipment loan, our curbside pickups, obviously our information and referral. And you'll see in our information and referral, that number has gone up about 18% because when we shut down, we started doing wellness check phone calls on a number of people. And so that is included in that, let me go across, the number of units that we provided. The home-based care, our adult daycare still remains closed, but our home-based care, we briefly suspended that. There were family that were home to take care of their loved ones. And then back in May, we restarted our home-based services for those individuals that didn't have other loved ones to help take care of them. And we also do Medicaid waiver. We have, I wanted to, because I think we need to remind ourselves that there's been some positives throughout this. We've had, we were part of the PPP program to receive PPP funding. We, as a nonprofit, on unemployment, we are, in the nonprofit, you can do what's opt-in, opt-out. So historically, we have not had to pay that unemployment ongoing, only as we receive claims. So obviously we had a lot of claims when we had to shut down. And so the PPP program, we were able to receive $260,000 to bring those people back. We had people in our home-based services working in our kitchen. our Meals on Wheels programs evolved, so we wanted to mitigate the possibility of a spread. So we had 2 crews in our home-based services preparing those Meals on Wheels. So if we had a positive case, then we could just isolate that crew 1 and crew 2 would step in. We also had a number of individuals who were able to, for example, our fitness center, were able to relocate. Sandra was one of the people, and she came up and ended up answering the phone. So it's been a lot of moving people around. We also were part of the PPE grant program, so we were able to receive a grant for a portion of our PPE cost. We received 7,800 approximately. Was it 78? 7606. Wendy's writing me a note. 7606, 7,606 to cover our PPPE, all these new acronyms we're learning. Cost for, scrubs, masks, N95 masks, which we use if we have a positive COVID in one of our clients that we have to go into the home. Thermometers, alcohol swabs, hand sanitizer, all those things that you already know about on that. We were also part of the quarantine boxes that the state initiated, and those were 22-pound boxes with 24 items in them that we were able to distribute to, how many quarantine boxes, Wendy, did we had?
Total,
I want to say total 150. In addition to that, we had produce boxes that we were distributing every other week. We received a shipment, a very small. On some of our quarantine boxes, we were able to share some of those with a local food pantry. Basically, 2 local food pantries, we gave them a voucher. So if they had seniors that came through the food pantry, they could then come here and pick up a quarantine box. The hospital partnered with us, so through a grant, we have $5,000 for COVID testing. So if we had staff we had to send for testing, there was a grant that helped pay for that additional cost as well. We also were able to, a partial grant and fundraising, update our software in our home-based services. And that has made things really nice. I think it's worth mentioning that when we went into shutdown, Department of Health and Human Services and Region 2 Area Agency on Aging are really still stay at home, isolating at home. So they discontinued doing those in-home visits, and we're trying to assess clients via phone, which is challenging. And so back in May, early on May, June, this whole year, it kind of blurs. It's a blur. But we had decided, no, we weren't taking on new clients unless we had that eyes-on visit. And unfortunately, through that process, we saw many individuals, sorry, we're having a good lunch today. We decided that we would not add new clients until we went into the homes and did eyes on. Part of the challenge with only a phone call to assess seniors in our community is that you cannot visualize, are there bed bugs? Are there safety hazards in the home? Are there bed sores? Are there those things? So early on, we did do, in fact, by June, we had done more adult protective service referrals than we had all of last year, and did get DHHS through a few phone calls. They agreed to, if the senior was self-harm or being harmed by somebody else, they could do that visual. So that was really, I think that was a cooperation saying, look, we're the boots on the ground. These individuals are at risk. There's some scary situations out there. And so with considerable discussion, that was changed. However, we still continue to do the in-person visits for any new clients we're taking on. to identify any risks or self-harm situations that come about. Overall, for those, I think there may be some new county commissioners on the phone. Our fiscal year runs October through September. And so 2020 was a challenge. I don't need to tell anybody that. I'll be looking forward to 2021. You have attached to your attachments our balance sheet and our income statement. And I could stop here in case there are any questions from any of the county commissioners on what I've presented so far on the service data report or service breakout report before I turn it over to Wendy to talk a little bit about the balance sheet and our income statement for 2020. I will say that the board agreed, because things are a little bit up in the air, that we have pretty much extended our 2021 budget. We're just carrying it over until we get more notification from our federal and state grants. We don't know if there's going to be cuts because of the expenses in 2020, but the Region 2 Area Agency on Aging has written us a 3-year grant. Basically, our contract is for 3 months until January, and they hear a little bit more. And so the board agreed that pending, probably in our January, we'll be looking at that budget. We were able to complete our audit. It is not finalized. We will forward that on when it is finalized. CHBW will be presenting to the Finance Committee this afternoon for his findings, and then he'll be coming back to give the final report in January at our January board meeting, our virtual probably January board meeting, to present the findings on our audit for fiscal year 2020. So, are there any questions?
Terry, I believe you and I talked about bringing that audit, or at least the results thereof, to the Board of Commissioners in February.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
We can do that because I know there's going to be some new county commissioners, and I'm hoping, well, now that we've got this, we're still shut down. Historically, with new commissioners, I like to take a little time and just invite them to the senior center and share all the resources and all of those services. So we'll try to see how we can refigure that to accommodate the new commissioners so they're familiar with what's going on with Perennial Park and all we do.
Well,
yes,
you've got at least 3 on right now that I can see. So they have received your invite.
Oh, great. It looks like Brent and Doug and
Brad.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if Kathy's on. We've got a couple call-in users, so, but
right.
at least 3 have heard your invite. So.
And I did want to extend thank yous to Bruce and Marta and Julie and Ruth, and what a pleasure to work with all of you. So I certainly appreciate over the years your support and cooperation with all the services we do. I wish we had planned to bring you cookies to the county commissioner meeting this morning, but that obviously isn't happening. So yeah, so we ate them for you. No, but without further ado, I will pass this on to Wendy to just go over a little bit of our financials so you're aware of where our money's going. Wendy.
Good morning.
Can you hear Wendy?
Can you hear me?
Speak up, Wendy.
She wants you to speak up.
Hello?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
There,
Better.
that's better.
I feel like you're in that commercial. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I thought maybe we would start with the balance sheet. These are our finals. Feedback.
If I mute mine, you might not get.
Go ahead, Wendy. Speak up.
Can you hear Wendy?
No, we can't hear her at all now, Terry.
Okay. I can hear me. Okay,
I could put you on speaker on this one.
yes.
Can you hear when she talks through mine?
Yep.
Hello?
They can hear you now.
I can't hear them because I just hung up.
Oh, okay. Do you want
Pull
to?
pull yours out. So sorry, we're.
Sorry,
Technical.
I will
difficulties.
move her.
We got that.
Yeah, we've had a little bit this morning too, Terry, so don't feel bad.
All right,
Switch places.
switch places.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Oh,
right,
Can you
Wendy,
hear now? Hello?
hello?
go ahead.
Oh, okay, we can barely hear now. Geez, oh, Petey, apparently I need another 3 cups of coffee. Okay, looking at we'll start with the balance sheet. These statements are final statements. We have the draft of the audit, but again, the board hasn't, or the finance committee hasn't seen it yet, so we're not gonna reference that, but these numbers are pretty concrete. So starting with the balance sheet, at the end of fiscal year 20, September 30th, we had total cash of $948,065. Of that, we needed $180,944 to pay the bond payment, the November bond payment, which we've made. And then another $105,858 for board designations and donor restrictions, which gives us available for operations at the end of the year $661,263. So we ended up in a pretty good cash position this year, mainly because I like to say no a lot, I think, right?
Right.
So that was our cash. Our accounts receivable looks rather high at 98, almost 99,000. Most of that is Region 2, our grants, our state and federal grants. Normally we still don't have our September payment as of December 22nd today. So most of that are the grant payments that we're waiting on. And then other little things. We do have inventory on our balance sheet. At the end of the year, we count all of our foodstuffs on hand, take them out of the expense, put them in inventory. They go back into expense the first of the year, so that'll go away. Moving down to property, plant, and equipment. We did have a couple changes to our property, plant, and equipment this year. We think we finally fixed the drainage problem that we were having in our building. And then we purchased a new used van. It was a used van, but it's new to us. We worked with Beck Chevrolet, who very generously gave us an in-house 0% interest loan. So we're still working on getting that paid. So those are basically our assets. Liabilities, our accounts payable are about normal. That note payable, that's the van that we purchased. You'll see some payroll withholdings in there. That's due to the fact that, we had to accrue year-end payroll. And then there's also a weird little account in there called membership refunds due. So I don't know if you, did you talk about that?
I didn't talk about the.
So at the beginning of all this COVID craziness, we thought we were just going to be closed for a couple weeks and then we would be able to move back on. However, as we got closer to the end of the fiscal year, we realized that we weren't going to be opening anytime soon. And so we decided to look at our fitness center members. And we looked at doing refunds for them because originally we were just going to extend their memberships by the number of days that we were closed. But we ended up doing a 50% refund of everyone that had 11 months or more. And then when they renewed, we would give them a 15-month membership for the price of 12. So that's where that refund due, that's where that comes from. We had it all figured out. We just didn't have the checks cut by the end of the year. So that's that.
End of our fiscal year.
End of our fiscal year. Sorry, end of our year. We also did take advantage of the Paycheck Protection Program. we received $260,747. We have not yet applied for forgiveness on that. We have 10 months after the end of our alternative period, which was October 24th, I think, maybe the 26th. Don't quote me on the date, but it was the end of October. So I have 10 months from then to apply for forgiveness. I've done most of the application already. I just need to get the documentation together. And I believe, and obviously I can't say for sure because we haven't done it, but I believe that most of that will be forgivable. The only thing we probably will have to repay is the $10,000 grant that we received, the EIDL grant. But other than that, we believe the rest of that will be forgivable. I will report more on that when we actually get the application in. Although they're saying it takes about 5 months for the application from the time you submit it to the time they actually either approve or disapprove it. So that's the Paycheck Protection Program. Bonds payable, obviously going down. We like to see that. And then our net assets, we have designations of 45,482. Approximately 43,000 of that are for operating and maintenance contingencies, and the others are little things like the bake sales we did for our pet assistants and some Give Where You Live money. So that's what that is. Donor restrictions, about 44,879. The majority of that are for Meals on Wheels trucks. About 30,000 of that is for a new Meals on Wheels truck. The rest of that was for some of that was for the new HBS software, et cetera. So, and then our PPV, sorry, there's too many PPEs, PPPs, PPVs, too many of those. Our PPV, Perennial Park Vision, those are the donations that that come in that aren't really specified for anything. We put them towards the next phase of our vision. So that's sitting at almost about 15.5. So balance sheet. So right now our current ratio right now, I'm sorry, I'm still at the end of September. Our current ratio was 1.96 to 1. So I'll remind everyone that means for every $1 in current liabilities, we have $1.96 in current assets to cover. So we're sitting pretty good financially, able to we're liquid, we're able to cover our liabilities. Our accounts payable turnover at the end of September was 17.89 days. And so that, again, is from the day we receive the invoice to the day we send the check out, we're averaging about 17.89 days, which is really good considering 30 days is the normal pay turnover on that. Our accounts receivable turnover, a little bit higher right now. As the end of September, we were sitting at 52.28 days. So again, from the time we send the invoice out to the time we receive the check, 52.28 days. And really it's our grants that are driving that up. I'd like it to see it lower, but realistically, I don't believe it will get much lower than that. And then finally, our debt to equity at the end of September was 0.67 to 1, which means for every $1 in equity, we have 67 cents in debt, which is good because we have more equity in our organization than debt. So that's what I have for the balance sheet. Can I answer any questions?
I have a question, Wendy, but it doesn't have anything to do with what you just reported on. So you want me to wait until you're gone through your papers and ask you at the end?
No, you can ask me now if you would like.
Okay. I'm happy to see you, Wendy, and Terry also. Wendy, I think you do a great job. Terry also.
Thank you.
I especially like how Wendy deals with her financials, and I'm impressed with that. And with Terry, your visionary leadership of the senior center and your long-term service. I think you've been there about 35 years. And I think that you both and your staff do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question for Wendy is, all the money that's going to come in off of the wind farms and the solar farms, the tax money. What is the senior center plan to use that money for? Have you written a plan as to what you're going to use that money for?
I have not, Ruth, because Mark brought that up a couple meetings ago, but I don't have any dollar amounts, and I really have not had a chance to look into it. It's been a little crazy, but I can always find plans for money.
Okay, well, what I'm gonna suggest to you is, and I would suggest this to every board that's gonna take in any money off of those wind farms and solar farms, because that's taxpayer dollars. And I would suggest that your board and you, Wendy, and all the other boards that are going to get some of that money, write a specific plan that you can show taxpayers exactly, we got this much money off of this and we used it for that. Okay?
That's a good idea, Ruth.
Similar to what Mary Beth writes for Lifeways for the millage money. She shows how much millage money she got, and then she shows almost to the penny what the money was spent for, and that's what taxpayers like. And I know at the senior center, like you said, you can put the money a lot of different places, but that should be a decision of your board. Now, one thing that came up in the county finance when I was with Bruce and Derek, and Bruce can talk about this as well, but we talked about maybe asking the various boards to turn in plans to the County Board of Commissioners. And I kind of thought, well, each of these entities, like the senior center, has their own board. And I think it should be a board decision along with your staff, of course, and you, Wendy, and you, Terry, but you've got a board.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be a board input of your facility, and we have commissioner representatives on all these boards. So just a little suggestion, because as we go into 2021 and these figures start coming up, you may have taxpayers saying, what happened to all this money? So anyways, that's it. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Ruth. And if you recall, we do a breakout historically for when we give our annual report, our service. This is a simplified service data report because it's been such a crazy year. But historically, at least once a year, we do give county commissioners a report that shows millage dollars and specifically where all those millage dollars go and what units are equal to millage dollars. Did want to mention that because you brought it up, Ruth, that we did make a few changes with regards to our grant funding through Region 2 Area Agency on Aging. And our grants are reimbursed at 1/12. It doesn't matter if we spend 3/12 in a month. We know we're only going to get reimbursement for 1/12. And we are required to do a 15% match. And we always far exceed that because we have those millage funds that provide us the wherewithal not to institute a waiting list when we run out of grant funds. We have made a change in this coming year that we've been very generous in regards to reporting to Region 2, who then reports to the state. So it appears that, well, look at Hillsdale Senior Center's doing with their grant funds and how many people they're serving, when in reality, much of that is attributed to the voter-approved senior millage. So the biggest change that we've decided moving forward is that once we reach that 15% match, we are no longer showing it to Region 2 as a grant, but it comes under HCSSC funding, which in reality is millage funding. And I believe, or at least we believe in discussion, that
Right.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that we're going to be serving less units. We're just going to be coding them differently. So
Right.
we'll have a quicker way to look at what our millage dollars are doing. So,
Right.
Okay. So I have the income statement as well. I didn't do the actual to budget because then I would cry if I saw it, because obviously COVID kind of blew our budget right out of the water. However, we still came out looking good. Our total revenues in fiscal year 20, it's hard to believe we're in 21 already, $2,185,624, we'll just say, which was a little bit below budget. I think we budgeted about 2.4 million. But we obviously lost revenues because we closed down for so many months. So most of our revenues were under budget, with the exception of the federal and state income. That was over budget because we ended up getting about an extra 36,000 from the CARES Act for Meals on Wheels. And obviously the USDA as well. And then our millage funds came in higher than what we expected because we get a portion of personal property taxes, which always kind of surprises me. And then we also get, once you guys have your annual audit, we also get a little bit of more money from the previous year. So, but we ended up with revenues of almost 2.2 million. Our expenses, total expenses for the year were $2,023,758. Obviously our wages were below budget, although not that far below, because we did, with the Paycheck Protection Program, we were able to bring our staff back. And not only we were able to also pay a premium for hazard pay, basically, for the staff that are out there.
8 weeks, 12 weeks for the staff. How many weeks was that allowed?
That was about
12
weeks. Yeah. Yes. So anyway, wages are probably not as high as, are below budget, but not extremely below budget. Need more coffee, apparently. As Terry did mention, this year we did have unemployment. Normally we have a little bit, but we only pay if somebody claims. This year we ended up with about $17,000 in unemployment costs, which I'm going, oh my goodness. But when I go back and I think about all the years that being a reimbursing employer has saved us a lot of money, I'm going, okay, it's fine. So other expenses, I think our supplies, our raw foods was a higher cost than we expected, but we also did many more meals than we expected. Actually, I got those numbers together. Last year, our Meals on Wheels were 47,680. This year, our Meals on Wheels, 61,315. So you can see we had a huge increase. I think we also picked up 92 more clients.
Well, we had 190 we added under COVID.
190. Holy cow, I didn't think it was that many.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see that we have been busy despite the fact we're pretty closed down. So in any case, we ended up with a net income of $128,141, which sounds really nice. When I kind of do a quick calculation in my head, I added back the depreciation, which brings us up to a relatively accurate cash net income of $326,536. And our debt this year was about $300,000. So we made enough money to cover our debt, plus the small capital expenditures that we had. In addition to our IT costs were up this year, obviously. We had to purchase equipment to get people able to work remotely. So, but I think we've done pretty well as far as, controlling things this year, especially in this crazy year. And like Terry said, although we do not have a new budget yet, we're working on a continuation budget. I do continue to monitor expenses and revenues daily, probably, so that we're not going to find ourselves out there. And I think that's all I have. Do I have any questions I can answer?
Any more questions for either Wendy? Go ahead, Bruce.
Thank you. Have you looked into refinancing your bonds?
I have not.
Would suggest very strongly you do that. Stephanie Kaiser got us an interest rate of 0.73%, which I know is considerably less than what you're paying. And with that money that if you can refinance your bonds and with the money that you would save, I would suggest very strongly that you put it into a capital improvement fund. Because as you know, your buildings are getting older. It won't cost you any money out of services.
Right.
And it would help you to build that fund up, and then you'd be in good shape for when things need to be fixed up and replaced and repaired. So just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that.
That hasn't been on our radar.
It has not. Everything else has been on the radar, I think. But yeah, yes, I will definitely look into that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, can I answer any other questions?
Well, I don't hear any more, Wendy.
Okay.
We are doing, just an
before you-
announcement, we are doing the curbside meals tomorrow for Christmas. I'm missing seeing everybody's faces, and I didn't mention that our fitness center is open. We reopened our fitness center on October 19th. Under the new executive orders, we had to reduce our numbers from 15 to 8, and then move our machines around a little bit more. But I was so relieved when Director Gordon didn't impact the fitness centers, because I said, please, please, please don't close us down. The center will be closed. We will have a skeleton crew working. We will be closed from December 24th, reopening on Monday, January 4th. One, to mitigate, help in mitigating the spread. We still have our critical clients being served, though. We still have some home health aides, and we'll still have a skeleton crew on board. All the Meals on Wheels clients do have enough meals for that time, because originally it was just an additional 3 days the board approved for that closure, but did want to let you all know that we will be closed from Thursday until Monday, January 4th. So thank you.
Okay, before you take off, Terry, with the board's permission, we'll do 142 at this time.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Just a minute. Go ahead.
Is there a problem with anyone that's up here that's up here?
Look at the agenda. Did you?
No, we're good.
There's no issue up here at all?
Pardon me?
There's no issue up here at all?
I didn't.
There's no issues up here at all.
Oh, there's no issues up here. We're good for now. So
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Julie, Bruce.
I've allowed it for today.
Marta.
So
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
Okay, just a minute, Terry, if you would, please. Let's
Yeah,
take
thanks, Terry.
142. We had a
Wendy.
slight interruption there. Sorry.
That's okay.
So 20-142 to the Honorable Board of Commissioners, we recommend as chairperson of the Board of Commissioners, be authorized to sign the agreement between the County of Hillsdale and the Hillsdale County Senior Services Center for the period of January 1, 2021 to December 31st, 2023. I move for adoption.
I second.
Okay, thank you. Wendy, I know you sent this to me. I believe the only thing you did was change the dates. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I know I sent it out to the other commissioners and I did get a couple responses. I didn't get anything that needed to be changed when I sent it out. So is there any comments at this time?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, just for the new commissioners, the only change that I remember having been made over the last 6 years that I've been on the commission is the fact that we now have in the contract that if the senior center does not make payments on their bond issues, that we have the right to withhold enough money to make that payment from the millage that they have. And that was agreed to, so that the county's held harmless in terms of making sure that the bonds are paid off.
Yes.
Other than that, everything has been pretty much status quo. So thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes,
Commissioner Caswell.
Yes.
passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Terry. You're good for another couple years here.
All right. Thank you so much. You all enjoy the holidays.
Yep.
You as well, Terry. And Wendy.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. Moving right along. Committee reports. Bruce, you're first on the agenda for committee reports.
Thank you. A couple of things to go over before we get to the resolutions. First of all, Jackson County, through the MSHN, which is our Mid-State Health Network, has received a grant for $252,000 to create an engagement center in Jackson. And what this does is basically diverts substance abuse, alcohol abuse people from the ERs and from the jails into this engagement center to get them sobered up and taken care of and so on, and get them the help that they need. I wanted to bring this up because the same thing is possible out here. I don't know that we have enough people, but I just want you to know that this is one of the first things like this that's going on in the state, and it's certainly probably makes more sense to put these folks into an engagement center than it does to put them into a jail or leave them in the ER. The second thing I wanted to mention is in terms of substance abuse treatment. For the first quarter of this year, there were 43 admissions in outpatient. There were 23 admissions in residential. Withdrawal management, which is helping people get off the drugs or the alcohol, there were 6 admissions. There were 5 people who were admitted to the medication-assisted treatment program. And we've done very little in terms of prevention in the county. And a lot of that is because the Prevention Council has struggled to get someone to be the leader of that group. And they're working on that. And hopefully there'll be somebody in place after the first year. The amount of money that we will have in our PA2 funds, if you remember, this is the liquor control tax money. The amount of money that we will have in that fund projected at the end of this year is about $126,000. And that's the end of this fiscal year we're in right now. So that'll be next September. So there's a good chunk of money there that to cover any shortfalls that may happen. The second thing is I wanted to mention from the AAA that, and Terry had mentioned this, that they were not sending people into the homes, and that's true. They've had several cases of COVID in their employees, and they felt that it was better for them to not take the risk of sending people in that may have COVID and be carrying it asymptomatically, and rather do things from home. It's a crapshoot, quite frankly, either way you go. What Terry said is exactly right. What AAA is saying, I understand that, not wanting to get people to be sick with the COVID if they can avoid it. Okay, on to the resolutions. The first resolution is 2131. To the Honorable Board of Commissioners, we recommend the transfer of $629,130 of accumulated funds in various delinquent tax revolving funds to the general fund. These transfers fulfill the total 2020 budgeted appropriations from the various delinquent tax revolving funds to the general fund. Do you want me to read all these years, Mr. Chairman?
No.
I think probably it'd be appropriate, Bruce, for those that don't have it in front of them.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
The year 2005, there's going to be a transfer of $8,100. The year 2006, there will be a transfer of $15,000. The year 2007 will be a transfer of $15,000. For the year 2008, there'll be a transfer of $18,000. For the year 2009, there will be a transfer of $18,000. For the year 2010, there'll be a transfer of $19,000. For the year 2011, there will be a transfer of $16,000. For the year, a transfer of $23,000. For the year 2013, there will be a transfer of $47,000. For the year 2014, there'll be a transfer of $26,000. For the year 2015, there will be no transfer. For the year 2016, there'll be a transfer of $256,000. For the year 2017, there'll be a transfer of $168,000 for a total of $629,130. The budgeted appropriation transfers to the general fund for 2020 of this amount I just read to you. Going to budget line item 101.000-676.000, transfer from the delinquent tax revolving funds. This will go directly to the general fund. It'll go into the amount, will be in the amount of $538,630. Transferring into budget line item 101.00-000-699.003, which is the courthouse annex debt payment fund, there will be a transfer of $90,500. So the total amount coming into the general fund in those two particular line items will be $629,130. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Caswell, and I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Support. This is Ruth.
Moved and supported. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines, Commissioner Gaines,
I think we've lost her.
she's right here.
Okay,
there she goes.
there she is. Julie, give us a thumbs up. There you go. Thank you.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes,
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes,
and Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you. Resolution passes. Please continue, Bruce.
resolution 20-132 to the Honorable Board of Commissioners. This is a resolution providing for the deposit and investment of county funds for 2021. Whereas under the laws of the state of Michigan, this board is required to provide by resolution for the deposit of all public monies, including tax monies belonging to or held for the state, county, or other political units coming into the hands of the county treasurer in one or more banks within Hillsdale County, which are legal depositories as defined by state and or federal law. Therefore, be it resolved, the Finance Committee recommends the following banks of Hillsdale County be designated as depositories for public funds for 2021. Fifth Third Bank in Hillsdale, County National Bank, Hillsdale, Jonesville, Litchfield, and Somerset. Century Bank and Trust, Reading. Southern Michigan Bank and Trust, Hillsdale and Camden. Flagstar Bank, Hillsdale. TCF Bank, Hillsdale. Be it further resolved, the Finance Committee recommends and directs that Stephanie Kaiser, Hillsdale County Treasurer, deposit for the year 2021 all public monies coming into her hands into one or several of the named banks. In addition, Be it further resolved, the Finance Committee recommends the county treasurer or her designated deputies, with the advice of the Finance Committee of the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners, be and is hereby authorized to invest these public monies for the good of Hillsdale County in the named institutions or any institution legally permitted by state or federal statute or regulations within the limits set by law. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Caswell, and I move for the adoption of this amendment.
Okay. Do we have a support?
Or
second
this is
that.
Ruth. Okay, I was waiting for Namu. Oh,
Yeah,
let her, I was waiting for her.
okay. We've got one of you down. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Mr. Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes,
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes,
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
motion passes 5-0. Please continue, Bruce.
okay, this next resolution, everyone, is for purposes of meeting the audit requirements for the budget year that is just ending right now, which is the 2020 budget year. So these changes that we're making are to make sure that all of the various line items have enough money in them that they're not overspent, because it's illegal under state law to have a line item overspent. And we get done in the audit if we don't get this corrected. So that's what each one of these items is, so that you understand. This is Resolution 2133, amending revenue and expenditures and expenditure general fund. To the Honorable Board of Commissioners, we recommend amending the expenditure side of the 2020 general fund budget by increasing the following expenditure budget. Board of Commissioners, $8,000. Circuit Court, $5,000. Probate Court, $5,000. Finance Department, $500. MSU Extension, $5,000. Building and Grounds, $500. Public Defenders, Probate, $3,500. Prosecuting Attorney, $10,000. Courthouse Office Building, $2,000. Road and Traffic Grant, $35,000. Corrections Department, $5,000. Animal Control, $1,000. Department of Public Works, $500. Medical Examiner, $20,000. Health Insurance, $12,000. Life Insurance, $500. General Insurance, $40,000. Appropriations to Probate Child Care Fund, $330,000. Appropriations to Labor Relations, $5,000. Appropriations to the Capital Improvement Fund, $25,000. Contractual Services, $65,000. Equipment, $31,000. And miscellaneous, $250, for a total of $609,750. Additionally, we recommend amending the revenue side of the 2020 general fund budget by increasing the following revenue accounts. Other federal funds, $609,750. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Caswell, and I move for the adoption of this resolution.
I second that.
Okay, any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes,
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes,
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gaines.
Yes.
okay, please continue. Passes 5-0.
Resolution 21-134, amending the 2020 special revenue budgets. These are the little pots of money that I've described in the past that we have floating around in county government. To the Honorable Board of Commissioners, we recommend amending the following special revenue fund budgets with the following increases in order to maintain compliance with Public Act 2 of 1968, the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act. Fund number 210.00. Fund, revenues, $20,000, expenditures, $20,000. Fund number 211.02, the SCAO MDCGP, revenues, $12,000, expenditures, $17,000. Fund number 211.03, District Court Federal Grant, Revenues 95,000, expenditures 95,000. Fund revenue 211.06, Hillsdale Community Foundation grant. Revenues 20,000, expenditures 20,000. Fund number 255.00, GIS Tech Fund. Revenues 300, expenditures 300. Fund number 267.03, Hazard Material Grant. Revenues 1,000, expenditures 1,000. Fund number 272.00, Inmate House Arrest Fund. Revenues 15,000, expenditures 15,000. Fund number 276.00, the CESF Sheriff Grant. Revenues 20,000, expenditures 20,000. Fund number 295.00, the Veterans Scholarship Fund. Revenues 0, expenditures 2,000. Fund number 401.00, Capital Improvement Fund. Revenues 30,000, expenditures 30,000. Fund number 516.19, Delinquent Tax Revolving Fund. Revenues 200,000, expenditures 50,000. Fund number 542.00, Inspection Department. Revenues 300,000, expenditures 300,000. Fund number 705.00, the CDBG program income. Revenues 0, expenditures 51,000. Fund number 706.00, Youth Home MIS Fund. Revenues 0, expenditures 7,000. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Caswell. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
I second that.
Okay, moved and supported. Any comments or questions?
And again, this is to get everything in line for purposes so there's enough revenue and all the expenditures are being shown. And some of these are items that we've canceled out, so we're showing the revenue and the expenditures going out, so for next year.
Bruce, just as a point of clarification on some of those where you show no revenue, but you do show an expenditure, that's just expending out of the fund that is currently the current balance?
That is correct. You take, for instance, the MIS fund. They go up and work at MIS at the youth home in a normal year, and they make money. And that money they use to buy extra things that they would not otherwise have out at the youth home. Well, they had money in there and they expended some of that money to buy some things for the kids. Okay, but obviously they couldn't work up there this year. So there was no revenue coming in, but they still expended some things to get some extra stuff for the kids out there.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes. Passes 5-0. Please continue, Bruce.
Resolution 20-15, Honorable Board of Commissioners. We, the Board of Commissioners, authorize Mark E. Wiley, Chairman, to sign the letter to the County Treasurer regarding the balance of funds from the sale of foreclosed properties. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Caswell, and I move for the adoption of this amendment.
Support.
This resolution, I'm sorry.
It's moved and supported. Bruce, would you please read that letter as well for the public?
I would be happy to do that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
The Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners understands. Now, this is a letter to Stephanie Kaiser, okay, from commissioners. The Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners understands that you, Stephanie, currently have $724,684 reserved from foreclosures as there is ongoing litigation regarding the sale of foreclosed properties. In addition to the amount you currently have reserved, you have agreed to transfer $465,000 to the general fund for the fiscal year 2021. However, the county understands that after all of the court cases regarding the sale of foreclosed properties are resolved, any required settlements of past properties in excess of the amount you have reserved would fall to the county general fund to pay. And Stephanie wanted this letter as, I think, to get everybody to understand that if we came up short on the amount of money she's reserved, that it wasn't her fault. And we're going to have to stand behind it. This isn't committing us to anything new. And this is the court case up in Lansing where they're talking about foreclosed properties and whether or not you can seize everything or whether or not you got to return some back. We now know that they're going to have to turn some back to the people who owned the property that were foreclosed on. And this is making it clear what Steph has already said, almost $750,000. But if that's not enough, then the commissioners are going to have to come up with the rest in order to meet the obligations of the court case. And that's all ongoing. We have no idea how that's going to end up right now.
Stephanie, would you like to comment at all?
Bruce pretty much summed it up. However, I can't, because it's litigation, go into it very deeply. I've gone to the board with what I know. The only thing I want to clarify, Bruce said up in Lansing, that's not totally the case. We're being sued, not from people in Lansing, but the legislation is being changed in Lansing, which would also potentially have to have repayment to those taxpayers. That makes sense.
Stephanie, I believe that lawsuit's in federal court. Is that correct?
It's headed there, yes.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown? Commissioner Gaines? Commissioner Wiley?
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Please continue, Bruce.
Resolution 20-136 to the Honorable Board of Commissioners. The Finance Committee recommends retaining the firm of Anderson, Tackman and Company, PLC of Kincheloe, Michigan, to provide financial auditing services for the County of Hillsdale for the fiscal years 2020, 2021, and 2022. The audit fees, including single audits, are as follows. 2020, $26,500. 2021, $26,750. 2022, $27,000. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Caswell, and I move for the adoption of this resolution.
I second that.
Moved and supported. Ruth, I believe you had pulled this for questions.
Yes, please, sir. Bruce, how many years has this firm already been doing audits for us?
I think 3, but Derek, are you with us?
I am.
Can you answer that?
Yes, I believe since 2012.
Okay, so it's been 8 years.
8 years, and this will be another 3.
Yep.
I know they did a real good job for us and all that, but I just have a concern. I think that's kind of, did we put this out for bid, or did we look for any other firms or anything, or we just gave them another 3 years?
We put it out for bid, Ruth, and of the bids, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 7 bids back. Okay. Now there was a firm out of Illinois, Lauterbach and Amen. That's kind of an appropriate name for an audit firm. That bid cheaper than what Anderson, Tackman and Company did. They bid $22,500, $23,200, and $23,900. All the other bids that came in, there was one from Grand Rapids, one from Lansing, Saginaw, Owasso, and Lansing again. The bids were all higher than Anderson, Tackman. The outfit from Lauterbach, I will just speak to, and then I'll turn it over to Derek. They had down projected hours that it was only going to take 210 hours to complete the audit. And that's a pretty low number. The lowest number after 220, most of them were in the neighborhood of 240. So if you add on the 200, if you add on another 30 hours to their projected hours that it's going to take to do this, at their rate, it was going to be another $3,000, which brings them up just about to where Tackman's at. But Derek, is there anything else that you need to bring out for the commissioners?
I guess that I would add on to that in Lauterbach's proposal, they did mention that they would not charge more than what they quoted, even if their hours exceeded the hours used to project their cost. I still have some concerns with that, though. If they do start to exceed the hours worked on our audit, kind of what their perception or what their expectations would change if that were to happen. I like that Anderson Tackman has, they have an expectation and an understanding of what it will take to complete our audit. Other than that, I don't really have too much to add.
Derek, when did you start working for Hillsdale County?
2013, December 2013.
Okay, I kind of remember because I was involved in your interview process, and so I kind of remember that was at the very beginning when I very first got on the board. I'm okay with this, and I understand this company and so on and so forth, but I think that this is going through 22, and if they've been doing it since 12, that's going to be 10 years, and I think that that's stretching it. I think that the new board needs to look at this when it comes around again and look at different companies, because I don't think we should go with the same audit firm for that many years. What do you think, Bruce?
I can't disagree with that.
Okay.
I just have another comment, if I could add to Derek's comments. We talked about this together, him, I, and Beth, because we're all involved in the audit, and the Lauterbach Amen didn't indicate that they would do a single audit or the F-65 in their proposal. So that was kind of a red flag for us there as well.
Because the single audit, so that all of you understand, is an audit that needs to be done if you get more than, Derek, is it $750,000 in federal money?
Yes.
And you see the drug court is getting, gosh, they're getting $450,000 in federal money. And with the COVID money we got 7 months ago, that adds up. We're going to be well over 750,000. So we're going to have a single audit done. And I think what Stephanie's saying is that this firm out of Illinois did not indicate that their charge would take care of a single audit. So if that's the case, then we'd turn right around and have to pay extra to get the single audit done. And Anderson Tackman, correct me if I'm wrong, said that their price included the single audit. Is that correct, Derek?
That is correct. And all of them separated out. So if we ever had a year that we did not require a single audit, then they would reduce their price by that much. Lauterbach and Amen did not specify the cost of the single audit. I think that they will do it for the price that they quoted, but they did not specify what portion of that would be dedicated to the single audit, and they did not specify what the cost would be if we did or did not have a single audit. So it was a little bit unclear and murky, whereas the other ones were very specific. This is the cost of the single audit. We will provide that for you. If you don't have a single audit, then this is the cost.
Which means basically, if you read the resolution, the price we have down here includes the single audits. What it means is if we went with the firm from Illinois, then it's not split out. So if we do not have a single audit next year, they would still get the amount of money they're talking about. It wouldn't get reduced down. The other ones all split it out and the price would be reduced accordingly if we do not need a single audit.
Did we get any local bids? What was the nearest local bid that we got? Local companies can't handle this big of an audit, I don't think.
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Naperville, Illinois, Kinchlow, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, Saginaw, Michigan, Owasso, Michigan, and another Lansing, Michigan.
Okay, thanks.
I'll add, I did get an email from Bailey Hodshire, I believe, saying that they could not handle the scope of what this would require. I did send things to local firms so that they knew we were bidding. And again, we just didn't get any. I think the closest would be Raymond Robson, as far as being local.
Good job, Derek.
Any other comments or questions or discussion on 20136? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines, Commissioner Gaines,
Julie, give me a thumbs up or on mute.
you lost your ear.
I think you're right.
Yes.
Ah, there we go. Thank you.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes.
Very good. Passes 5-0. Please continue, Bruce.
Okay, Resolution 20-147, to the Honorable Board of Commissioners, we recommend the following increases, or in parentheses, decreases to the expenditure side of the 2021 approved general fund budget. Account number 101.00-430-704.000, permanent salaries, a decrease of $12,145. Account number 101.00-430-704.003, overtime pay, a decrease of $1,000. Account number 101.00-430-704.006, longevity pay, a decrease of $650. Account number 101.00-430-704.008, holiday pay, a decrease of $2,255. Account number 101.00-430-718.000, retirement, a decrease of $3,200. Account number 101.00-430-746.001, gun allowance, a decrease of $300. Account number 101.00-430-746.002, cleaning allowance, a decrease of $450. Total expenditure decrease is $20,000. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Caswell. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
I second that.
Okay. I think I emailed out to everyone, and just for the viewing audience, this is tied to the sheriff's negotiations. The sheriff is also, which I've already signed, and Derek has a copy. And correct me if I'm wrong on anything, Derek, but this is the animal control part of our budget. This 20,000 was given up by the sheriff for a 5-year period to assist in the wages that were negotiated. And I believe Derek and I did discuss that to create a balanced budget rather than a surplus budget, this money this year will slide into the contingency fund. Is that correct, Derek?
Yeah, I believe that's what we discussed. The resolution doesn't specifically note that.
Do we want to amend that to have that added on there?
I think if we're gonna add it to the contingency fund, then yeah, we should amend it saying so.
Okay, I will amend the resolution. I will move to amend the resolution to reflect that the $20,000 will be transferred into the contingency fund.
I second that.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions on 20-147?
On the amendment.
On the amendment? Jody is keeping me straight again. So is there any questions or comments on the amendment? Hearing none, we will vote on the amendment of 20-147.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. The amendment passes 5-0. Is there any further comments or discussion on 20-147 as amended?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Go ahead.
well, I think, I just wanted to only comment on the fact that, I really appreciate that giving up of the $20,000 per year would help with the wages, and I think the $100,000 over the 5 years deal really helps lessen the overall financial impact. So that is all I wanted to comment.
Very good. Thank you. I guess I'll add a comment to that the animal control position will be part-time rather than full-time, and the sheriff has agreed to that in the letter of understanding. So just to keep everything out in the open. With that said, any further comments? All right, we'll vote on 147 as amended.
Commissioner Wiley?
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell?
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
And Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. Go ahead, Bruce.
I'm done.
Thank you. All right, that brings us up to Ruth. You have the floor.
Okay, 20-126. I asked to have that pulled off consent, and that was the one that said, we recommend Derek Ringman, Finance Manager, be appointed as the Hillsdale County Chief Administrative or CAO Officer effective in 2021. No extra compensation for this service. Respectfully submitted by Mark Wiley, Chair.
Do we have a support?
Support, Julie.
Thank you. All right, Ruth, go ahead and discuss.
The reason why I asked to have this pulled is because after this came out in the packet last Friday, I got a lot of phone calls, emails, texts all weekend long and yesterday. The confusion seemed to lie in the fact that it doesn't, the people, my constituents told me that it should have said be reappointed, and then they would have realized that it was a reappointment and nothing new. But since it is worded appointed for 2021, people thought it was something new, and they thought they confused the terminology Chief Administrative Officer with a county administrator and thought that we were hiring Derek to be our county administrator in 2021, and that's not what we're doing. So I just wanted to clarify and make sure. Derek went back through and dug up resolutions, old resolutions, which I appreciate that, Derek, from back as far as 2013, where different people have functioned in that position and to sign paperwork for us. So I just wanted to clarify so that everybody understood. And if any other commissioners, Mark or anyone else has comment, clarify that this is not a county administrator's job. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Nemo.
I appreciate all the comments. I also want to say that Derek has been an exceptional, employee, and with all the capacity that he's been working, I really truly appreciate. However, this particular resolution, I still feel in all the capacity that the local officials hold and they're elected to do the job, I would still continue to argue the fact that I know in the past the resolutions that were provided, the local officials took that in their capacity to do. There was once Mr. Gary Leininger, he also chose to do, and a couple of them were also assigned to do so, but they were local officials. But my only concern here is that as local officials, if we would choose to have the elected board of officials or the board of commissioners do that, I think it would be a better way of handling this, and financially would be more sound. I'd rather just have the treasurer in that position. I'm just throwing in names, but forgive me. But or you, Mr. Chair, as a board of commissioners or anybody in that capacity within the board of commissioners. I think that is just what I wanted to comment. I think Derek has a lot already on his plate, but I still feel this should be in the capacity and the roles and the responsibility within the board of commissioners just to do their job. This would be something that I would strongly recommend. But again, this is just my opinion. I researched it quite a bit, and I also had a lot of calls, messages, and emails the entire weekend in regards with it. So I'm glad, first of all, we decided to pull it off, to bring it into an item where we could discuss it, clarify a little bit for our constituents, and then vote upon it.
Thank you for those comments. This is, quite frankly, nothing new. In reading some of it myself, this goes back to Public Act 156 of 1851, so it's been around quite a while. One of the issues that I know we've discussed in past years is having someone that is familiar with the grants, familiar with the accounting, be in this position. And as of the last meeting, we passed a resolution that basically funnels all the grants through Derek. It would behoove us to stay consistent, seeing how the CAO quite often deals with signing of some of these grants, or at least processing them. And as I indicated, I think to all of you, I had to email Lansing sometime during the course of the year to authenticate that Derek did in fact have the authority to take care of whatever grant it was that we were dealing with at that particular time. So he has served in this capacity since he's been hired. So, and actually in the MCL, I don't see anywhere where it says we have to have language that says it reappoints. It can either be an annual appointment or an open-ended appointment. So going forward, I guess with the new board, we'll have to decide whether we do it open-ended or year by year. But that's the only comments I have. If anyone has other comments, please do so. Ruth, you have any further comments?
I just was going to say that I think that it's better when things are looked at and dates are put on them so that different boards, we're going to have a new board every 2 years. And I think it's better, instead of leaving it open-ended, to make things so that the board wants to look at things and things are brought to light. Boards change, everybody changes, jobs change, everything changes all the time. So I just think it's a good idea to keep things not open-ended and not forever and out there, where I think it's better to put dates on things and have different boards, fresh eyes, different people look at things over time. That's just my opinion. My experience dictates that. Thank you.
Very good. Any other comments? Hearing none, we will vote on the resolution.
Commissioner Caswell? Commissioner Caswell? We're voting on the resolution.
Yes,
Thank you.
I was muted.
Commissioner Carolyn?
No.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wiley?
Yes. Resolution passes 4-1. Please continue, Ruth.
I'm just going to keep my report real short because I know we have a lot of other things to talk about today. But what I want to do is I want to recognize Marnie Cast, our Hillsdale County Clerk, and congratulate her because she was selected the Michigan County Clerk of the Year. And that's a really big deal. She's a past president of her association. She is the Michigan County Clerk of the Year, and I think she deserves our congratulations. I've known ever since I started working with Marnie that she's excellent. We're very, very fortunate to have her here in Hillsdale County. She puts in a lot of extra hours. She runs a great staff. I can't speak enough to her. And so I just want to congratulate her for that. And we're proud to have her here in Hillsdale County. She's a shining star. And other than that, I'm not going to, I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions. I'll let us move on. I'll save my 96-minute farewell speech for the end.
As I told Ruth when she mentioned that to me, I can mute her from here, so. All right. Are there any questions for Ruth at this time? Okay, thank you, Ruth. That brings us up to Commissioner Carlin. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, for that opportunity. It's been a good, busy couple 2 weeks. I always like to say that. But before I begin with all of that, I'd like to, since the 20-124 resolution was placed under my report for discussion, the 20-124 is the recommendation to reappoint Hillsdale County Planning Commission the position of for Susan Smith as Planning Commission to the Economic Development position. So in regards with this,
Let's get a support for it, if you would, please.
absolutely. So I move
Support.
the following individual to reappoint to the Hillsdale County Planning Commission to fill the Economic Development position as follows: Susan M. Smith, respectfully submitted, Mark E. Wiley, Chairman, Board of Commissioners, Management Personnel.
Okay, and I believe you supported, right, Julie?
Support.
Yep, thank you. All right, now we got open discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I have a question, please. This is Ruth.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the term limits that the commissioners adopted on May 4th of 2017. It's resolution 17-057, and I'm looking at it right now, and I'm checking the term limits, which I think that we should do whenever there's an appointment to any board for any person. We passed the term limits, even though I wasn't in favor of it. The board did pass it. This would make Susan Smith on the Planning Commission for 10 years if we pass this. So I was checking the term limits to see what they were, and when I look at 17-057, the Planning Commission, now I could be wrong, I'm looking at it again right now, Hillsdale County Planning Commission, 4 3-year terms would be 12 years. And this would make her 10.
Okay.
So that's okay, but I think it's important to bring this up so that we don't it's easy to pass things, especially under consent, and not, forget about our term limits and other things. We passed another one under consent that I think is too long, but that's okay. That's fine. I'm fine with it. I just was pointing out the term limits so that no one forgot.
Well, Ruth, if you recall on that discussion with term limits, in the event that we have only one application, what other choice do we have? And
Right.
And that, quite frankly, is the case on both these that you've indicated. We had one application for each of those positions. So Rather than leave it void, I chose to reappoint. So-
Okay, I'm good
Mr.
with it.
Chairman?
Yes,
Mr.
sir,
Chairman,
go ahead.
listening to this conversation, I'd ask this question. Would it be possible, if people in the county wanted to, that Dave Holcomb could set up an app, and whenever there was a position opened on any board, anywhere, that app would ding? And so people would know on their phones that there's an opening on something. Because I know a lot of people don't take the time and don't have the time to go into the county website and look at everything. And we advertise it. We do everything we're supposed to do. But I think of the app that the sheriff put together out there when there's somebody missing or they're looking for somebody. And I know on my wife's phone it dings and she checks it out and so on and so forth. I wondered if we could do something like that for open positions on various boards. Maybe it would make it easier for people, if they are interested, to know that there's something out there. Just a suggestion.
I guess Scott's on the call. Scott Sharp, do you have a comment on that?
That's definitely something that we could look into, yes. We will get back to you on that.
Okay. World of technology. Thanks, Scott.
Yep, not a problem.
Okay. Any other discussion on 20-124? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Commissioner Carlin, please continue.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that. So, thank you for that passing of the 2124. So the last couple of weeks have been busy. Pittsford Township, they met very briefly considering the events and of course the COVID-19. And so they had a very short meeting. Wheatland Township, they met, and the Wright Township, they met in person. Waldron Village met in person. And lastly, Somerset Township, they met virtually. So these townships have been busy. The EDSB board meeting, that was canceled, but however, I was happy to receive reports and I wanted to share some of that with you. The State 911 Certification Subcommittee, they met on Tuesday of last, I think that was November 24th. And they reported that the committee shared the first draft of their report, where they got the opportunity to correct a few things and anticipate findings. And the committee will basically, they'll reconvene, they'll have a revisit post-pandemic to interview staff members. So that was something that was reported to just review some more of the procedures in depth. A couple of other things were reported with monitoring systems that was previously discussed for tower generators with the 911 Central Dispatch, which was at Camden, Litchfield, and what was the other place? Osseo. So they have been installed. And basically the systems, what they do is that they send a text and an email to 911 Central Dispatch, which would be Tracy or Doug, whenever the generators run for a self-test, or when the local utility power is out, which causes the generators to run. So there were some early glitches for the Camden site, but it's all okay now. It's fixed. Moving forward, they did report some of the stat hospital transfers from November, about 5, year to date with 39 in total. The medical examiner investigator, we received calls from November 9th, year to this date were 129. Then AvTech radio console purchase installation, that was reported. Doug, Sanford, Tracy, they met at the teleconference, I believe on December 4th, with the with the guys from the ERS radio and for the vendor for that project, and they continue to gather necessary parts and pieces until whatever they're waiting for is needed. They also scheduled another teleconference, which will be scheduled for December 29th. And they're hoping that they'd have a better idea at that point when that installation will begin. So they're pretty encouraged to kind of report about the new 800 AMHZ radios to be as soon as possible, that they can submit to the state for a template for them. And they believe that there is about 3 to 4 months wait to get the templates back once they're sent in. Couple of other things. There are trainees who are already doing well, but 1, 2, 3. So 3 of them, they're in training for the 911 Central Dispatch personnel. They're doing fantastic. And they asked another personnel to come back for 3 days of telephone training to give them a little faster start in this area when they have the on-the-job training in dispatch. And as you already know, that on the last Board of Commissioners meeting, we already advised that we were going to have a replacement for Tom Whitaker. For those of you who remember, he left us to retrieve another job position in Huron Valley. So they're making good prospects there, the ETSB board for hiring. So the current trainees will start coming off probation, and then one at a time they'll get on the schedule. So just a little bit of input right there. Tower links, couple of information that we received, that they'd been having a lot of trouble with the link from Hillsdale to Woodbridge and then Waldron. So work continues. But Dan Baker from Adrian Communication, he indicated to the ETSB that the directional antenna on both ends, that needs to be adjusted to point directly to each other. So just kind of giving you information about that, that the Great Lakes Tower and the reports that they had gotten from that would be done as soon as possible. A couple of, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken, I sent you some of the financial reports. If those of you who did not receive from the ETSB, I'd be happy to resend it again. The normal reports, the balance looks about as great as a little over 625,000, but the third month of every quarter, so which includes December, which basically shows very little income, but will continue to have normal expenses. So they also expect to have some sort of funds on the radio project that's yet to begin. So just kind of keeping you commissioners posted on that. Next, the training funds, the COVID-19, as you all know, drastically reduced opportunities for training for this year, 2020, and some virtual courses were created. So, and there was used just for just a handful of staff. And the deadline for spending the 2018 training funds, that had been extended until the end of the year, but allowed under the rules set by the state. The ETSB, the 911 Central Dispatch, asked the county to charge $3,013.15 to the training account and credit to their personal expenses for classes taken. So just keeping you posted, there is still about $5,602.18 in the 2018 funds to use along with the training funds received for the 2019 before the end of the 2021. So just FYI there. Last, wanted to talk a little bit about the Smart 911. The state of Michigan will not be supporting Smart 911 financially for the 2021. So the Emergency Management and the Regional Homeland Security Board, that ETSB applied for a Homeland Security grant to pay the $8,000 subscription cost for Hillsdale County for next year for 2021. So the application, just keeping you posted, has been already rejected twice by the state, but has been resubmitted the third time after it was refocused with the application. So just keeping you posted, commissioners, we're still waiting to receive approval or rejection, whatever, from the state. But if it's rejected, a decision will have to be made by the 911 Central Dispatch Board or the ETSB board on whether or not to pay for the service. So the alerting portion, which is the RAV alerts, that's been approved for payment through the Homeland Security grant. And it has been for a few years now. So the recommendation is that they would cover the cost for 2021 and hope that Michigan legislature will find some funds for the entire state after all this COVID expenses are less of an issue. So just keeping you posted on that. And just a little highlight about the emergency managed storage building. I know that we put funds into the 2021 budget for the building, which was requested on behalf of the emergency management, and they'll be finalizing plans on obtaining beds on the project. So for the next meeting, and so they will be probably meeting with the board sometime next year, scheduled tentative drawings that will be available around January 20th. So the new board will have a chance to look at all of that. And for the 2021, there is a proposed schedule of meetings for the next year. I'd be happy to forward it to you that was provided for the 2021. And so that was from them. And so lastly, I just want to recognize some people here. I want to recognize our sheriff department. I want to recognize our officers, the deputy officers within the union. Some of them have served 20 years, 20 plus years in the sheriff department and our law enforcement. And we've been just so grateful that we've had a good, solid team. And I want to recognize each of them at the sheriff department. And lastly, I want to be able to recognize with praise with our EDSP board, Mr. Doug Sanford, Tracy Peter, and his entire staff for doing a phenomenal job, for giving us phenomenal reports and Excel sheets. He's been very conservative with his budgets throughout the year, and for that, I'm very grateful for. And lastly, I want to thank Chief Lance, who is a phenomenal law enforcement. He has been a pride of our EDSB board meetings. And I think it was a great learning moment with them working with 911 Central Dispatch. So hats off to them. I salute to them. Thank you for all you do. And it's been a pleasure working with you all and educating. Thank you.
What's that?
Is she gonna do her 2 resolutions?
Oh, Julie? That was
Oh,
me.
sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Carlin? All right, Julie, you have the floor. You're up next.
Okay, can you hear me okay, Mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I'm having trouble with my connection, so I'll do the best I can here. I would like to start with resolution 20138. To the Honorable Association receives funds from a special millage levied and collected subsidize operational obligation members, and whereas to be received presented as follows. There is a table. I'm just going to read the approximate totals. The operational $1,100,000 total capital millage would be $210,455. Anticipated is $1,400,000. Excuse me. Anticipated total revenues from the above referenced special millages are for 2020 are approximately $1,403,177 after any reductions from TIFAs, LDFAs, et cetera. Now therefore it be resolved that the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners concurs with the formula recommendation from the association dated October 27th, 2020. We authorize and instruct the county treasurer in 2021 to make equal quarterly disbursements from said special millage to the 5 contracted ambulance services per the formula, and to distribute any remaining balances from the 2020 ambulance operating fund to the association members using the 2020 formula. Furthermore, this serves as a renewal of the attached letter from the Hillsdale County Ambulance Association regarding the approved formula and distribution of funds, signed by David S. Slifka, President. Respectfully submitted, Julie Gaines.
I
I move
support
for the
that.
adoption of this resolution.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I would like to make an amendment to this resolution. The line item for continued operational ambulance service millage for Reading Emergency would be $685,609.99. And there would be a 6th line added to this resolution for psych hospital transports. And the operational millage in that line would be $36,084.73.
Okay, is there a support? One more call out. Is there support for this amendment? I believe it dies for lack of support, Bruce.
Thank you.
So we're back to the resolution as read. Further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we will hold a vote.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
No.
Commissioner Carlin,
Yes.
If I may, that issue of the psych transfers, as Julie's well aware, and Julie and I have talked, still needs to be addressed. So going forward, for the new commissioners, that is an issue ongoing that needs to be addressed in the coming year. There needs to be a resolve to that. So, without looking at the sheet that we've been working on as far as future commissioner assignments, I will take that up with the new board in January. But site transfers need to be addressed. So please continue, Julie. We didn't hear anything, Julie. You got 20-139?
Cutting it. Go ahead, and if you can't hear me, you'll have.
We can hear you right now, so hurry.
-13. Technology purchases. Whereas made in the past without confirming compatibility with existing county computer network hardware or software, and whereas the county desires to maintain cohesive operational efficiency and maintain the security of the county's, therefore be resolved that prior to the procurement of information or services, all county departments shall provide timely written notice to the Department of Technology, procurement of equipment, software, or technology services, including the development of any requests for proposals, quoting, or applications that include such technology. Be it further resolved that the Technology Department will make timely recommendations for requests for proposals, quotations, contracts, or grant applications that include such technology. Be it further resolved that all such purchases shall be made or approved by the Technology Department in a timely manner. Respectfully submitted, Julie Games.
I support that.
All right, I was muted. Moved and supported. Any comments or questions? I guess the only comment I'll make is this was pulled last time because David and Julie were still working on some language. This language has come as a cooperative effort between Julie and David. So just so anyone that may wonder, it did have David's input from IT. So if there's no further comments, we will vote.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay, the only other thing that I'd like to bring up is something we discussed at the last meeting that I still see as an issue. We're still using the screeners because of the COVID extensions at the county office building and other facilities that we have. And we only extended that, I believe, at the last meeting through January 4th. And since there won't be another business meeting till, I believe, I think we need to extend that through January 31st. All the other money that has gone toward these screeners has been paid for. So it has not cost the county to have the screeners. This could possibly cost us to support this month, and if it did, it would come from the contingency fund. There's money in there that could pay for it. But also, there probably will be more funds forthcoming that we can apply for to cover this. But I think it needs to be covered through the 31st, and then the new board can take it up from there, so that we can work with the company so that they know what they're doing also, that we make sure that we're covered.
Commissioner Carlin, you have a comment?
Yes, sir, I do. So with all the virtual meetings happening, I see that there is less entry from the doors. So the screeners that are in place are only in place for limited people and for people who are public who want to come in, they come in with an appointment, and so on. So the crowd seems to be less. So I don't see why it is that we need to, if it's not going to be paid from the COVID-19 relief fund, I don't see why we should go ahead and pay it out of our pockets. I think this should be the new board who should decide when they do meet, if they would like to, follow up and what would benefit the constituents better and what would save the county monies. I know all of this is being paid, as I hear from Julie, so I appreciate that. But further moving, if we are under complete, only people can come in through appointment or, less limited crowd that's entering. So I don't see why that we need to spend any other extra money from the general fund within that infrastructure to save it and have the screeners in place.
Mark, are we in discussion? Did somebody support Julie's motion or?
Was it a motion?
It wasn't really a motion, but it would be appropriate if Julie would make a motion, somebody support, and then we can actually have a legal discussion.
Okay, I would make a motion that we continue to employ the services of the screeners through January 31st of 2021.
So Ruth, you brought it up that we needed a motion. Are you going to support that so we can further discuss?
No, sir.
Do we have a support so we can continue talking about it? This is problematic, folks, because the screener, I've talked to him, and 1 day notice is not going to help him at all from a business standpoint.
So you need a motion, you need a support, Mark?
Well, I would like a support so Julie and I can finish discussing it with all of you.
Okay, I'll support it and then I have some discussion.
Well, thank you. Now you can discuss that you've supported.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
Number one, the first thing I have on my mind is I have a problem, respectfully speaking, with Commissioner Gaines saying January 31st. I think that's too long. The new board is coming on January 4th, 13 days from now. I might consider extending it until the new board gets going. But beyond that, the new board, it's up to the new board to start making decisions. And we're beyond, January 31st is at least 2 or 3 weeks beyond what the new board is going to be there for. Number two, if we're going to pass something like this, we have to make a decision on how we're going to pay for it. You just don't pass a motion. Where's this money going to come from? Okay. The last meeting, we said it was around $7,000 and whatnot. Now, in the past couple days, there's been a new Fed package and a new state relief COVID package that have just come out in the past 3 days here, and I haven't looked. We would have to ask Derek if he's even had time with everything else on his plate that he's had to do, where this money would come from. Are there new COVID relief dollars in these new 2 packages that would cover these people to pay for them? Okay, that's my second issue. Thirdly, I do agree that we need to keep the screeners there as long as we're having a COVID issue, and screen the people as they're coming in to protect our employees as well. And I think that the company and the screeners has worked well, and we need to keep them as long as we're having an issue. But again, how are we going to pay for them? And I think January 31st is too long. And I thank you for listening to my comments. Thank you.
So Ruth, let me address a couple of your concerns. Number one, in talking with Dennis Hoffman, ADA Securities, as you know, our contract runs through December 31st when we did this originally with them. He has agreed to do 30-day extensions of that. All I have to do is call him and we'll get a 30-day extension. He's not real comfortable with 1-day extensions, which is basically what we're talking about if we only do it to the 4th, or if we were to do it to the first business meeting, which I believe Julie's correct. I believe it's on the 12th, or some such matter, but it'd be that first Tuesday, or rather the second Tuesday in January. But that still doesn't give Dennis a lot of time to react if we don't, work with him on a 30-day extension. The pandemic is not over. Some health experts are saying that we're going to see another spike because of Christmas and New Year's. So, where does that put us? As far as the money would come out of the contingency fund. That is one place anyways, which I have already discussed with Derek. Currently, there's 20,000 and we moved 20,000 more in there today. So the contingency fund has 40,000 in it. I am not advocating for us to pay for this for an extended period of time. I guess the discussion I had with Julie is a 30-day extension to work with ADA Securities on this. And then, yes, by all means, need to take it up with the new board if we want to go beyond the end of January.
If Derek looks at the new COVID relief money, and I don't know, this just passed in the last 2 or 3 days, and I don't know if Bruce or Derek, this is too fast for them to react. But if anybody, what needs to happen is Derek needs to look at that money and see if there's anything there that will help cover these screeners, because a lot of this stuff, some of it's new, some of it's extending.
Oh, rest assured, Ruth, if we can get it covered, we will. I mean, there's no question on that. But the information on those new packages of money is filtering out slowly. So.
Okay.
And I don't know if we're going to have all the details on the federal dollars, quite frankly, until after the first of the year, because they're shutting down for the holidays. And quite frankly, so is Lansing. So, you know, information might be slow to gather on those dollars.
Okay, thank you.
But rest assured, Derek and I are watching if there's any way we can get anything refunded to include some of the wages that we've paid to people that are out of work, you know, that we tell them to stay home because of COVID. Carol's keeping track of that. We're keeping track of anything that we might potentially get refunded. So.
Okay, I know, I understand. I believe that because I know we've been doing that ever since the start of the pandemic between
Right.
Bruce and Derek and Doug and a lot of other people. We've gotten every cent we've had coming to us. So, okay, thanks. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Ruth. Any further discussion on the motion at hand?
Yeah, Mark, just a really quick one, if
Go ahead.
that's okay with you. Yes, I personally will not be advocating for this because I believe right now you have constituents who are in front of you who have come as public. I don't know if they've already left. Nobody could stop them.
There's no
coming.
constituents here right now. There's just 2 commissioner-elects.
Oh, I see. So in that regards, you know, I do not see how the screeners have been able to let them come in with or without the mask or deal with. If there is a pandemic and if everybody is aware, constituents are taking their protections. Some are not. Some don't want to because it affects them on their civil liberties and a lot of other issues. Some with health concerns, they won't get out of the house. If they do have health concerns, asthma or anything, they refuse to wear a mask. So I am not going to be advocating screeners and wasting our monies if we are not sure about the COVID relief fund that is going to be completely covering this. It's just, we're basically funding the screeners and their company, but because they're not screening people if they actually have any problem asymptomatically, whether or not they have a fever or not. Those screens in place, those pads that are screening for a fever or a temperature or the gadgets, they're not screening for anything other than that's there in the body. So I think so that's just my take. I am definitely an advocate to be careful. I'm an advocate for keep your personal hygiene. Don't spit when you're talking. All of that. Wash your hands and so on and forth. I'm an advocate for that. But I just don't feel we don't have the monies in hand, or we're not 100% sure. I, for one, as a board member, I'm on my way out. So I don't see the decision that I will play today or this board will play today in regards with being in contingency with this, having to have screeners to prolonging to a certain period of time. Because you must know something. I'm going to talk for District 5. So now District 5, in all of the townships that we have, there are no screeners that are sitting in place who actually have a gadget in hand and who take temperatures and allow people to come in or not. Everybody is supporting social distancing when meetings are happening because, for example, Pittsford Township, they don't operate electronically. They're meeting they're in person. So the county is the only place here within all of the districts, and I'm not aware of the other district, how they're operating. They do have a sheet of paper. They'll ask you, if you have any fever or have any problem, cough, cold, mention it or don't come. So I personally will not be advocating for this. So that's just my take in this. I just want to thank you for listening. No, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I think we've reached a point that we're going to be having severe financial crisis in the next year. We don't know what tomorrow will look like, let alone next year. So I'm not going to be advocating to extend their term sitting on this board today as a last meeting. So that's just what I want to say.
Thank you. So I think Julie and I have both told you all throughout this pandemic that we've been meeting with the elected and department heads virtually at least once a month. And I know on several occasions, the elected and department heads have made mention how they appreciate the screeners, how they feel it's necessary. I know that the screeners are taking the temperatures, they are asking the questions. We currently operate with the doors locked, and they are given a list of appointments by the different departments, and they are letting people in by appointment only at this time. And if you don't have an appointment, they are calling the office that the person wants to have business with, and we're facilitating that. So the screeners are serving a purpose, Namu, a very critical service right now as far as helping to allow people into the building and to limit exposure of our staff. So
Mark, would you please have either Julie or Jody repeat the motion, please, sir?
The motion is to continue using ADA security through January 31st, 2021.
How much money we talking? How much is that going to cost? We talked 7,000 the last meeting. Is that what it is cost? Go through the 31st to $7,000?
based on the bills that we have received, yes, that is an accurate number.
I'm thinking that maybe we should amend the motion to say where this money is going to come from. I think when we make motions, we should follow it with where's this money, contingency or COVID-19 relief dollars if they're available.
Contingency or COVID. Julie, you friendly with that?
Yes, I'll amend the motion to state that it would come from the contingency fund or it would be reimbursed through the dollars if they become available.
Okay, Jody's got that. Ruth, I assume you're friendly with that?
I'm going to support, and I'm going to change my mind, Mark, based on your explanation and me thinking about it a little bit here. I still am with Namu, but in a spirit of cooperation, I see that your hands are tied with Dennis, that he needs a 30-day. We can't go less than that. So in a spirit of cooperation with you, and I think we need to, I'm going to support it.
Okay, Julie and Ruth, as the maker and the supporter of the motion, are we just friendly with that amendment so we don't have to actually vote on it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yep, I thought that was the case, but I just wanted to clarify before we went any further. Is there further discussion? I think everything's been stated pretty clearly. Okay, we'll vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Wiley?
Yes?
Commissioner Caswell?
No.
Commissioner Carlin?
No.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner White, or Gaines.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2. Anything else, Julie?
Nope, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will get a hold of Dennis and we'll get a 30-day extension, and then I will take it up with the new board in January. Along with that same discussion, I have been asked by a couple department heads and elected if we are going to keep the buildings locked as we have for the last 4 weeks. 1/4 is our first day back to work. I guess I was asked if we at least extended it till the following week. And then we, of course, can assess the situation as well as the new board can weigh in on that subject at the appropriate time. So I guess what I'm asking and discussing with you is if we continue our current policy of doors locked and working by appointment through 1/11/21. Is there any objection to that, I guess is what I'm asking. Hearing none, that's what I will pass along to the elected and department heads.
Mark, with that, so you're telling us the organizational meeting on the 4th then will only be people that are being sworn in, and you and Marnie and maybe Jody and like that. It will not be opened up there for the public to come in.
That is not correct, and I am going to make an exception for that morning because after talking to Mac and talking to council, if the board meets as a whole, we cannot restrict public access. So that morning on January 4th, the screeners will be instructed that anyone coming to the Board of Commissioner meeting on January 4th is allowed in the building. And effectively after that meeting, then the doors, the restriction of by appointment only will be carried out. So
Now, will that meeting also be available virtually?
I know it'll be live on YouTube. I'll talk to David about the virtual aspect. I would think we can accommodate both.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Well, while I'm on the subject of the the organizational meeting I think all the new commissioners are listening, it appears. Pictures will be taken that day. The group photo will be taken. Your ID badges will be made that day. And so please come prepared, dress however you want your picture to look on the webpage for the next 2 years. So, so with that, that's that announcement. So I'll jump back up and we'll work down the action items that I have. Starting with 20-140. We, the Board of Commissioners, authorize Mark E. Wiley, Chairman, to sign the resolution adopting the MERS defined contribution plan with the MERS defined contribution plan adoption agreement. Respectfully submitted. I move for adoption.
I support that.
Thank you. Just a little explanation. This is the 401 for the new hires that was agreed to within the new contract language. There were some advantages of going with the 401 offered by the MERS. One of the things that the sheriff wanted to see was the ability to recruit from other departments, and something that we've learned through a Zoom call with MERS there was about 10 of us on, including the attorney and the union reps. That particular 401 with MERS, actually, whether they're coming from a 401 or coming from a DB, their investment time and everything carries with them. Whereas if we had used another entity such as ICMA, that would not be the case. So that's the brief explanation on what and why. Is there any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to compliment Commissioner Gaines and yourself and the unions out at the Sheriff's Department for moving in the direction of a defined contribution. What we had was unsustainable. We had huge debt for it. Step in the right direction. And I'd like to say thank you and to the unions themselves.
Thank you for those comments. I do know that Julie and I spent 7 hours here one day in mediation talks, and it was a long day. So, but I think we got there. So, any other further comments? Hearing none, we will vote on 140.
Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner
Yes.
Caswell. Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines.
Yes.
And Commissioner Wiley.
Yes. Passes 5-0. Thank you. 141, we, the Board of Commissioners, authorize Mark E. Wiley, Chairman, to sign the MERS Uniform 457 Supplemental Retirement Program Resolution. Respectfully submitted. I move for adoption.
I support that.
Thank you, Nemo. Little piece of information, the union asked us to add a 457. This has no financial implications to the county. It is simply available to the employees as a way to diversify their investing portfolio. So in no way, shape, or form do we have a financial liability with the 457. So is there any comments or discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. Let's see, 42 we have done. 43. Just not, let me scroll over here and find it. Okay. The Honorable Board of Commissioners, we recommend approval of the union agreement between the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners, the Hillsdale County Sheriff, the employer, and the Public Officers Labor Council, Hillsdale County Sheriff's Office deputies agreed to on December 17th, 2020, and ratified by the union on December 21st, 2020. Further, we authorize the chair and vice chair to sign the agreement on behalf of the County of Hillsdale for the term commencing January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2025. Respectfully submitted, Mark Wiley. I move for adoption.
I support that.
Moved and supported. Thank you. Let's see. Julie, do you have any comments?
No, no additional comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I knew there was something while I was reading it. I just wanted to explain to the board that even that long day that Julie and I were in mediation, we did stay in touch with the sheriff. I had him on the phone at least a couple times that day and in subsequent days. So there was a lot of communication especially on operational type issues in the contract. So just so everyone understands, the sheriff was actively engaged in these discussions. So it wasn't just Julie and I sitting there. We involved him on a lot of issues. So any other comments or questions, please? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
Commissioner Gaines,
Julie, did we lose you? Julie.
Yes.
Okay, she's giving me a thumbs up.
okay.
Thank you. We got
There we
you.
go, there we go. Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. 144. We recommend the approval of the union contract agreement between the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners, the Hillsdale County Sheriff, and the Police Officers Labor Union, or Council, excuse me, Hillsdale County Sheriff's Office Supervisors, agreed to on December 9th, 2020, and ratified by the union on December 17th, 2020. Furthermore, we authorize the chair and vice chair to sign the agreement on behalf of the County of Hillsdale for the term commencing January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2025. Respectfully submitted, Mark Wiley. I move for adoption.
I support.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
I just want to say that, again, big thanks to you, Mark, and to Julie, and to everybody involved in this. It's very, very time-consuming process that takes you away from your families and your jobs. So I recognize that, and I thank you very much for your work. You did a great job.
Thank you for those comments, Ruth. I know Julie appreciates it as well. She's having technical issues again, I'm afraid. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
Commissioner Gaines,
Julie?
Yes.
okay, gotcha. Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. All right, now we got 145. The Board of Commissioners authorize Mark Wiley, Chairman, to sign the agreement between Hillsdale County Sheriff, Police Officers Labor Council, and West Ludiker. This agreement will extend the maximum amount of time that the employee will receive benefits according to the bargaining agreement, Article 9, Section 3, Paragraph 1. The agreement will be extended to March 29th, 2021. Respectfully submitted, I move for adoption.
I support that.
Thank you. Just an opening comment on this. We extended Wes's work comp previously. Then we have gone into another pause and shut down. Several of his appointments were either postponed or delayed to January. And so the sheriff reached out to me. As soon as he finishes up, they have recommended him to come back to work as soon as he finishes some of his follow-up appointments. So the sheriff has assured me that he will be back to work as a detective sergeant. They do not intend on having him do road patrol at this time, but the position will be a detective sergeant. But he needs this extension to continue with his treatments and his therapy. So that's my opening comment. If there's any questions or comments, please do so.
Yeah,
I
I'd
just
like
thank
to
God
say
he survived
something.
the crash.
Just a minute. Go ahead. Namu, I'll let you go first, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that I'm happy to see, Wes Ludiker get back. He needs to resume back. We were all waiting to hear that. But with the accident that he went through and what he went through with the surgical treatments, I know my husband and I, we had visited him when he was in that very critical stage. So we've seen him go through that. But I want to commend him for that spirit. This will not only help him with the post-traumatic syndrome of what has happened, but I see a very dedicated officer who wants to get back onto duties. I'm pleased to hear that. I support him to do that. And at the back of all of this, I think this family has gone through a lot. Not only him, but the other party who was in the accident. So yes, my prayers and my comforts go to both the parties, which includes Wes and his recuperation with the other victim as well, who was in the accident. This was hard on the county. This was hard because as a board liaison for me, I think it was a big burden, not only for Wes's injury, but for the other victim as well, who was in this accident. It happened in our county. It happened in the line of duty. It's grievous. It's extremely disturbing, but at the same time, I'm very grateful that the healing has started. I want to see our sheriff's department as stronger than ever, and I think Wes will do fantastic as a detective. I wish him all the best, and I wish the other party who was in the accident, I forgot her name, but I wish her all the best, and one of the days I will be paying her a visit, a friendly visit, a constituent visit, one of the days. So thank you again for that, and I do wish him the best. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Ruth, you had a comment.
I just wanted to say I thank God that he survived the crash. It's been a long road of rehab back for him and his family, but I'm very thankful that he survived, that he's going to be all right.
I think we would all agree. I know I can talk for myself, but I think we would all agree with that comment, Ruth.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All those, we'll take a vote on 145.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gaines.
Julie.
Commissioner Gaines,
I think we lost her again.
all right.
Well,
I'm going to put her as absent.
yeah, we're going to list her as absent or technical difficulties, but the resolution passes 4 with 1 unavailable. Welcome to 2020. When it gets to be 2021, we'll really be wondering. Okay, moving right along. 20-130.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. So we'll change that to a yes. So it's 5-0 on that resolution 145. Just a little bit of a warp lag there. I think Julie's in a black hole today. That's why we're getting slow signals. 20-137, Ruth, you had this pulled. I'll read it and then we can discuss it. We recommend a 2-year renewal with Route Fire Services Incorporated for workmen's compensation services. from January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2022, as outlined in the attached proposal. Respectfully submitted. I move for adoption. Need a support, please.
I'll second that for further discussion.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. So Ruth, you wanted it pulled. You have the floor.
Okay, I just wanted you to please explain this, Mark. I know what it is, but we had problems when Wes had his accident, and we were looking at our workman's comp, and I know that Derek did look into it, and you did, and so forth. So could you please provide an explanation as to what you came up with us going back with Broadspire again?
Well, I'll start and then I'll ask Derek or Stephanie to step in as well, please. We did have a lot of discussion. We had some very interesting Zoom meetings. There are advantages to going with a provider that it's a premium-based deal. One of the problems we ran into, at least I view it as a problem, and Derek or Stephanie can certainly chime in, but we share this policy with the medical care facility. And the way the premium was broken down, they would pay an extremely large amount, different from what they currently pay, and they are at a negative balance this year because of their COVID losses. And they found it extremely difficult to look at this. When I discussed it last week at the Human Services meeting, everyone understood the concept of what we were trying to do to reduce our risk. Our risk exposure would be greatly reduced by a premium-based plan, but they just don't have the money. Terry said that in a normal year, he would be very much in favor of it, or at least be in favor of looking more earnestly at it. So we pretty much agreed that we'd look at this again in probably September or October of 21, prior to our current agreement expiring with Broadspire. So the idea or the concept is not off the table, Ruth. But
okay.
Derek, you or Stephanie want to chime in at all?
I don't have any further to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Derek?
I guess I don't have anything really additional. I can tell you we spent a lot of time providing information to insurance companies to get to a situation where we did get a quote. The premium is quite a bit more than our current premium, but like Mark kind of alluded to earlier, it eliminates risk. So you pay a premium and you know that's what you pay on an annual basis. Whereas every 2 years, we're potentially open to about $1.5 million worth of risk on our current self-funded plan. So, you know, God forbid you have a couple terrible situations like Wes Ludiker in a 2-year period, you're going to be on the hook. Whereas as the premium-based plan, like I say, eliminates that risk. That's really all I have. If there's any questions, I can try to answer them.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Derek, what was the cost? What is going to be the cost for Broadspire the first year under this workers' comp plan?
So it's a 2-year plan, and the minimum expense is $153,000 or so over 2 years.
So $75,000 a year.
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, if we went to a premium-based plan, what's the cost going to be?
190,000.
190?
Yes.
Per year.
Is that what you said, Derek? 190?
Yes. Yes,
So we're talking about an additional 105,000.
yes,
We'd have no risk whatsoever.
yes.
Have we ever had in the past, have we ever had as serious an accident as Deputy Ludiker had?
Yes.
We have?
Years and years ago, yes. Our biggest loss that I've seen was like $800,000, and that was in the 90s.
That was back in the 90s. Okay.
Correct.
So basically, if we self-insure, we're saving $100,000 a year. 105,000. 115,000.
Between the two entities.
Okay. So in 2 years, which is the extent of this time, we're saving $230,000.
Correct.
Okay. So if something happens accident-wise, that 230,000 is savings. It could be applied towards it. We can think of it that way if we wanted to.
Right.
Okay, now, under the new policy, what is our maximum amount that we pay before we don't have to pay any more?
Under the self-insured plan,
Yes.
I believe it's 500,000 per accident, per incident.
And then I think I also read something about 650,000 for policemen.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah, it's right here somewhere. I know I've seen it too. That's,
I don't see anything that talks about the policeman maximum.
unless that was.
I thought I read something. It was 500,000 per county employee except for police, and it's 650 for them. Yeah, I dreamed it.
Familiar to me, Bruce, in our discussion possibly, but I can't swear to it because I don't have my notes with me today.
It's actually, Bruce, what you're referring to is actually in the first page of the County of Hillsdale excess renewal terms. And you go down the different categories and it says specific, and it does say police, and it does have a 650,000 in there.
Okay. So just so that we're all clear here, if we have another accident with a police officer, our obligation would be up to $600,000, not 500. Is that correct?
That's the way I read that, Bruce.
Okay. So to summarize here, this is one of the situations, commissioners, we're going to be darned if we do and darned if we don't.
Mm-hmm.
If we go with a 2-year policy and we assume all the risk of saving $230,000 for the taxpayers.
Right.
We go with the entity that will assume all the risk for us.
Right.
Okay. And nothing happens, we've spent an extra $230,000 and we'll be muttered at for piddling away taxpayer money. But I want you to understand that if we go the route of insuring ourselves and assuming the risk, while we could save $230,000, we also, under this new policy, have the potential of a $420,000 liability should a police officer get buggered up to the extent that Deputy Ludiker was buggered up. So that's really what we're faced with here. Now, my own personal feeling, and you have no way of knowing, but it's been 35 years since we had another accident that was anywhere near what Deputy Ludiker went through. And it could be another 35, but on the other hand, it could be 6 months. I'm okay with voting for this at-risk policy, but I will tell you that, like I say, we're going to be muttered at either way we go. But you're going to have to figure that out for yourselves. But so you clearly understand the obligation for a police officer has gone up considerably under this new policy. And you should take that into account in your vote, whatever you decide to do.
So just as a point of clarity, Jody and I were just looking at this again, and it's 550 in year one, but in year two, it's 650. But it's
500.
Oh, 500, excuse me. It's 500 liability in the first year, 650 in the second year. So,
These are everybody.
but the point is, for the police. So your point is still well taken because, as soon as we enter 2022, we're up to 650. So, and being our luck, that accident will happen on January 1st, 2022. So.
Mark, if I may.
Go ahead, Steph.
I believe that, I just looked at that as well, that page you're talking about.
Yep.
And it's if the 500 is if it's a year plan, the 650 if it's a 2-year plan.
Oh, that might be. That's 2 year expiring in 21. 2 year, 21 to 23, or 1 year.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it is 650 for both years. Is that the way you read it, Stephanie?
Just a second. So 19, see, they're going back to 19 to 21. So that's the former plan at 500,000. So the new plan is definitely the 650.
Yeah.
And then
I
it's
see what you're
650 for
saying.
one, and 650 for 1 year in the third column.
Right, right.
So they were just showing what our premium was previously in that first column.
Okay. So Bruce is correct, and it's 650 for both years, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
I think it might be wise, Mr. Chairman, and I know the state police have done this. It might be wise for us to compose a letter and send to the sheriff for him to put in place pursuit procedures to mitigate risk both to the citizen chasing as well as our police officers. It might be wise to look at that. And the state police have already done this with themselves. And I know we've had some yahoos come whipping through the county here that we've chased and so on, but it might be a good thing to take a look at that.
Commissioner Caswell, this is Derek. Part of getting our quote, we had to submit different policies that are in place with both within the county and within the sheriff's department.
Okay.
They have a plethora of policies like that, like pursuit and use of force policies and different things. And I know that the current sheriff is currently looking at revising or updating anything that he thinks needs to be updated. I think that is something that's on his radar as well. And honestly, this workman's comp discussion might have helped put it even more on his radar.
Okay, well, that's good that that's happening. I would still encourage the board to send him a letter to encourage him to do this so it doesn't get lost in the wayside.
duly noted. Any further discussion on 137? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes. All right, 137 passes 5-0. And that brings us to 146, which was pulled. Oh, no, excuse me, that's added. That's right, that was one of the ones we added. I'm sorry. To the Honorable Board of Commissioners, Resolution 20-146, we recommend the following individual be appointed to the Hillsdale County Planning Commission to fill the township representative position as follows. Namrata Carlin, first appointed 1/1/2021, term appointment 3 years commencing on 1/1 of 21 and expiring 12/31 of 2023. I move for adoption.
Support.
We'll pick one.
I got Julie.
We got Julie supporting. Any discussion on 146?
I have discussion, please, sir.
Go ahead, Ruth.
I see that Brad Benzing's on this call too, so maybe Brad, I have no problem with this. I think that Namrata has worked really hard on the planning commission. I'm proud of her. She's doing a great job and I want her to continue. But I noticed on this resolution, it says to fill the township representative position as follows. As Brad, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were the township representative before and now you're becoming a commissioner again. Is she filling your township spot or what?
That would be correct, Commissioner. My term as township supervisor ended on November the 20th. And so consequently, I am no longer in office and therefore unable to fulfill the requirement of representing township government. So Commissioner Curlin, she would then, as a representative of the Somerset Township Planning Commission, be representing township government.
I was on the planning commission before, but I'm trying to remember right now. Is there just one seat for township or is there more than one seat? One?
I believe there are two seats for township government. I believe one of those is filled by Hillsdale Township and the other is now vacant.
Okay, thank you. I'm good, thanks.
And if I may, there's also citizen at large.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Carlin. Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes?
Thank
Here.
you.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Hey, Ruth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gaines.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes,
Commissioner Caswell.
Yes.
thank you. Passes 5-0. One more action item, I think. 20-148. To the Honorable Board of Commissioners, we authorize the chair to sign the elements of memorandum of understanding between Lenawee and Hillsdale counties. Respectfully submitted and move for adoption.
I support that.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is the agreement between Hillsdale and Lenawee County for medical examiner investigation, as well as autopsy, morgue, et cetera. The only changes in this would be where the morgue is, which is no longer at Bixby, it is in Jackson. And of course, the date which this agreement would commence on January 1st, 2021, and would continue in effect for 24 months, much like the agreement that is currently expiring. We've been doing these on a 2-year interval. So that's all I have to say unless there's further comments and or questions. Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have a comment.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate to the Board of Commissioners and our public, our constituents who are hearing, the Jackson County, where we transferred our entire morgue, has saved Hillsdale County a whole lot of money, has saved us millage money, has saved us a bond to be put on the county. And I think that is something that we really need to celebrate. The county, the Jackson County Elm Road, where this morgue is a very brand new facility. It doesn't cost us anything other than just renting it when we're having our autopsies transferred. And those of you who do know that I've brought this many times to the Board of Commissioners that are MOMs, which is the moms, the month of the morgue, that's what they're called, the funeral homes. They take the bodies. And so far, we've had really good communication, good dealings, a great relationship with our funeral homes who do that, and Heritage who does our cleanups and so on and forth. So Elm Road, the Jackson County, where our morgue's transferred, it's a brand new facility. I think only 9 or 10 months old, if I'm not mistaken, less than a year old facility. I've seen it, very bright, and it's really helped our county quite a bit. So just that's it. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Any further comments on 148? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes,
Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner Caswell,
Sorry, muted. Yes.
thank you.
Commissioner Carolyn.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. I will need a motion from the board, and I'll explain. Judge Bianchi has been texting me during the meeting. She didn't get all her information to me on the contracts. As you recall, we did sign an extension for Roy Brandis, I believe, last meeting. Scott Smith and Rod Dunham are the other two. They have agreed to terms. Rod just signed his, so I need to go over and sign that one. And Scott Smith wanted it raised, but the judge told him no. And so his contract will be the same identical contract that we approved prior. So what I am asking for the board's motion or approval is to go sign those contracts. Unless there's a problem.
I'll move. Move for it.
What?
Say that again, please.
So move.
Support.
Mark,
Thank you. Go ahead, Bruce.
how much of an increase are we having over this year's contracts with the two
There
fellows?
will not be an increase. The contract with Rod Dunham will be a one-year contract. It'll be for the same annual amount. And Scott Smith was told that he will get the same identical amount. So there will be no increase to,
And did you say anything about her filling in the rest of that?
Jody just pointed out to me that there's potentially a third one, which Judge Bianchi had not told me. Alice Nickerson would fill the remaining 6 months of Roy Brandis. I do not have any monetary information on that. So
What was the first name? Nickerson? What was the first?
Alice was the first name, Ruth.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
passed a budget based upon what we assumed the numbers were going to be. So the first two individuals that are going for a year, I don't have a problem with taking care of them today. This other individual, we know nothing about the contract or anything else. I think it needs to be put aside and taken care of beginning of next year.
I would agree with you, Commissioner. Because this is the first I've seen that one. So I do know the person, but that doesn't mean I know what the amount is. So we'll take that up with the new board on the 12th. So did we have a second? Okay.
This is to allow you to sign the probate contracts with Scott Smith and Rod Dunham, correct?
Okay, so the way we read this motion is it allows me to sign the contract with Scott Smith and Rod Dunham. Is everybody agreeable to that motion?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll vote on it. I just wanted to make sure we had the language correct. So, okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote.
Commissioner Gaines,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Caswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. And I will make sure, even though most of you won't see it, but it will be in the next board meeting packet for a follow-up resolution and those contracts as well, so that the new commissioners can review those. So, okay, that's done. Medical care facility, Terry reported that they are COVID-free once again and have been for several weeks. They are still running around a 130 population, so they're roughly 40 beds empty. They do have a list and they are taking new clients, but it's going to be a slow road to full recovery as far as the financial picture. They did finish their contract negotiations with their union, and I thought it was a rather unique approach to their pay raise for their people out there. It is tied to bed occupancy going forward in 2021 and 2022. And they do have an opener on wages, and I think they've got two openers, if I recall correctly, in 21 and 22. But I thought it was a unique approach, agreeing to certain occupancy as far as percent occupied, to trigger some of those wage increases that they worked out. So, also, medical care facility will be starting vaccination of their personnel as well as the residents on December 29th. That is being facilitated by, I believe, Walgreens out of Ann Arbor. They have 3 dates set up. And part of the reason for 3 dates is that anyone didn't get it on the first round can get it on the second round. And of course, the third round would be for the second shot for those that got the first on the second round, or the second visit. So that's moving forward. And while we've been meeting, I got a email from Rebecca Burns, and keeping along with vaccination, the Hillsdale office received 100 doses. Coldwater is receiving 300. And she says they're expecting to receive 100 doses in Sturgis. It is the Moderna vaccine. They are contacting local hospitals today. It goes on to say that they're planning on holding vaccination clinics. They will be vaccinating 1A priority individuals, which includes public health, emergency medical, and medical first responders. So, I guess if you're in one of those 3 categories, keep your eyes and ears open to the radio or the internet. I am sure they will have things on their website. So, that's all I have at this time, unless there are further questions. Okay, thank you. Second call out to the public. Anyone on that wishes to comment?
I would like to comment if I can.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Last week we did finish the loan for the HVAC system for the courthouse. We all did it virtually because Eric McLaughlin was working from home. I was at home. And so was, well, the bank wasn't, but they were still doing virtual with us. So that has been taken care of. It's in the bank and ready to proceed with that HVAC system.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. That was a great job done considering the times and everything. So,
And the great rate as well from County National. That was exceptional.
absolutely. I'll let you negotiate my next loan.
I didn't really negotiate, I just asked, so
Well, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Anyone else wish to comment at this time?
Mark, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
This is Kathy Schmidt. I was on the meeting to begin with. I just wasn't on through WebEx, so I did hear the beginning of the meeting. I also would like to just say, I would like to thank each retiring commissioner for their service to Hillsdale County. It takes a village to keep us moving. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you for those comments, Kathy. Anyone else wish to comment at this time?
I agree with Kathy. It's been good working with all of you, and it's going to be interesting going forward with the mostly new board. But thank you, Julie, Ruth, and Namu for your service.
Okay. Any other comments? Or public comment? Well, thank you all for attending. We have additional business. We'll run around the table one last time with the current board of 2020. Bruce, I'll start with you.
Well, I just, first of all, I want to thank my constituents for their support. And I want to thank all the county employees that I've worked with. I want to thank my fellow commissioners, both past and present. It's been a real team effort, and I would encourage the new board to look at commissioner compensation. As vice chair of finance, we had a resolution that every other year we had to do a survey throughout the state of Michigan for our counties that are like size of Hillsdale as to commissioner compensation. And so since I was vice chair of finance, I've had to do that the last few times, and I saved all that material. It was quite a lot of work to do it. And Hillsdale is low in our compensation for commissioners. I've been on a lot of boards. I've been a leader in a lot of organizations, and being a county commissioner is a whole lot of work. You're dealing with taxpayer dollars, and you got to be accountable. It's a big stage to be on. It requires a lot of time and a lot of level to be at this level and to be effective at this level. And we deserve a lot more compensation than what we're getting to do this job, spending hours and hours and hours and hours of our time. Now we have, when I came on the board 7.5 years ago, our employees were very far behind, and we've put our employees first, which I agree with, and we should have. And we've brought our employees up. They're still not to where they should be. But at some point, we have to look at the commissioners, because we haven't had a raise since back when I became a commissioner at the beginning of 2013. That's the last time we had any raise. And so that whole compensation package for commissioners, not piecemeal, but the whole compensation package needs to be looked at, because if you want people at this level making these kind of decisions, and you've got to compensate them. So other than that, I wish everybody happy holidays. I thank my constituents very much. I'm going to stay active and involved, and I just appreciate the employees. I'm proud of the new county offices building and the move to the courthouse and the new facilities that we got for our employees. That was something that I worked on quite hard. I also think for suicide prevention, I would have never known about it if I hadn't been a commissioner. The one thing that I feel sorry about is we didn't get the annex sold. we sure tried hard and we showed it lots of times and we worked hard on it, but we didn't get that done. So that's going to be left to the new board to do. But just thanks a lot to everybody and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Bruce, now your turn.
As an individual who's been at every level of government in Michigan, other than cities, I have found county government to be the strangest. Counties are a child of the state of Michigan. We can only do what the state allows us to do. What the state allows us to do does not always align with common sense and thoughtfulness. Be that as it may, I'd like to thank some people. Carol Bennett has been a joy to work with in my role as finance chairman. She's efficient, honorable, and cares deeply about Hillsdale County. Jody Stott is an excellent bureaucrat. She has a wealth of knowledge in her head that will be very difficult to replace when she retires. I could not have done my job without the help of these two excellent public servants. I must say that during my time in Lansing, I was also blessed with excellent people helping me. Dave Marvin was a very hardworking individual who had fine morals and a complete devotion to his job. He made me successful in Lansing with his wisdom and thoughtfulness. Elizabeth Hertel was very intelligent and taught herself to be an expert on Medicaid. She's a gem in Lansing today. Chad Arnold was low-key in his approach, but dead-on in his understandings of how Lansing worked. He was meticulous, honest, and dependable. Alicia Cottrell was a human dynamo when it came to the budget and carrying out all the myriad details necessary for budgets to be accepted. She left no stone unturned in her efforts to help me put forth budgets that were frugal, but provided the necessary services that people needed. I could always count on her. As you can see, I've been the luckiest man in the world to have such good people work with me in the trenches of public service, both in Lansing and here in Hillsdale. Hillsdale County is not a wealthy county, but with the help of Ruth Brown and Derek Ringman, we have left the county on a solid financial footing. Through this whole pandemic, no one was laid off. I'm proud of that. We have gotten to the point where we have actually put money in the budget for capital improvements on our buildings. We are doing more planning ahead rather than just reacting to the problem of the day. We have tackled and set up a process for cleaning up the $4.5 million pension shortfall that we inherited, and it was done with no tax increases. We have saved the taxpayers a lot of money by leasing vehicles rather than buying them new. We have shown that a county can be run efficiently without a county administrator. It takes everyone pulling together, but that is exactly what we're doing. And by everyone, I mean the elected officials, the department heads, and all the commissioners. I would also like to thank the citizens of Hillsdale County for the trust that you have placed in me over the years. It is very humbling to have that trust. I've never lied to you, and I never would. I've always tried to place constituents first. Oh, you are the ones who hired me. I have made a few mistakes I have made a few enemies along the way, not intentionally, but because I took a position on an issue that did not set well with them. I will not apologize for that. But I will say that there are none of you in this county that I would not try to help if you needed it. I'll end this talk with the following, and it basically takes you through your life. In youth, we should industriously occupy our minds in the pursuit of useful knowledge. Not just book learning, but useful knowledge. In manhood, we should apply our knowledge to the discharge of our respective duties to God, our neighbor, and ourselves, which is where many of us are at right now. So that in age, we can enjoy the happy reflections consequent on a well-spent life. You owe your community the ability to give back. And all of you that are sitting out there listening to this should seriously think about giving back. So again, thank you, Hillsdale County, for treating me so well. God bless you. God bless this county and all the people in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Julie, are you still there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You have the floor.
I just want to say that it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the constituents as the commissioner from District 2, also to serve with my fellow commissioners and to serve with the department heads and elected officials that I've worked with throughout my 4-year tenure. I feel that we had a lot of great accomplishments for the county and for our constituents, and that we're all better off from serving together. Thank you so much, and I wish everyone a happy holiday.
Thank you, Julie. Namu, your turn.
Yes, thank you, sir. Yes, it's been an honor ever since I took office as an appointed county commissioner for District 5. Just been a privilege working with all the department heads, working with all the board of commissioners. It's been an education all throughout. I've just been so honored because being a public servant, serving my community from 2007, and then serving with multiple government related entities within our county here in Hillsdale, it gave me a privilege and an honor to serve as an active liaison to 8 of this public safety committees in Hillsdale County. And so that really was such a great moment, not only for my constituents. I believe it was a great working environment with the Board of Commissioners and the constituents of District 5. Learned a lot, gave back a lot. And all of this, I think it just brings in more light of the integrity that we share in the county. And I think I came at a point where it was such a blessing because I think prayerfully those decisions were made. God brought me at a time where the county really did need that position filled. And for me, working in the numerous factors, right, with several of the head departments has been such an education. And the only way I was able to do that with our constituents and our board of commissioners is that I went what the Holy Scriptures always talked about in Ephesians chapter 6 and 11 to 13. He talks about you wear your whole armor of God. And just putting that whole armor of God, I was able to withstand so much and learn so much. And this community work, it's just never ending. So what I learned today is from all of you here, and again from District 5, is that there's something that you always come back and you give it back to the community. It's a constant giving back. And that whole armor of God that I was talking about, that is what it is that we can withstand, especially today's timing, where we're hit with the COVID-19 and the pandemic. And during this time, that ability to stand and that grace and that mercy, I reflect that I was able to take that help from the Holy Bible. So I just am so grateful to God for not only our country. I want to give God and country both the glory first. I want to be able to give our constituents of District 5. And I'm hoping that we can get through this. And I want to wish everybody here on the Board of Commissioners, the head departments, a couple of them that are here, the oncoming board, all the best. And wear your armor of God. That will get you through. And just keep praising Him, because through Him, we can accomplish everything. There's nothing impossible. Only through God, everything is. So I want to be I'm very grateful to our chair, Mark Wiley, and for Vice Chair Julie Games, for Senator Bruce Caswell, for Ruth Brown, and all of these people here have made me who I am. I was able to reflect as an individual. I'm just an average, small Christian woman, want to give back to our community. These are the individuals who trusted in the deep need of last year when we had the need for this position to be filled. And I think God just brought us in a place where this would have been possible. So thank you from my heart. This beautiful season of joy, Christmas, I want to reflect that this joy that I'm having, I want to share it with all of you. I celebrate all of you today here. I celebrate each of you who are incoming to the board, and all the very best. And God bless you. God bless our Hillsdale County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I guess I want to bid you all a fond farewell. It's been a pleasure working with the four of you as you depart. I'm sure we'll see each other from time to time. I would like to think to some extent we have developed new friendships that will go beyond our time as commissioners. I want to wish everyone a very happy holiday season and a safe one as we proceed into 2021. And with that, well, I guess let me pause one more moment. I want to thank you all for your patience for a very long meeting, as well as some additions. And thank Marnie and Jody for working with us as they have all year, but more so on this last meeting of the year when we were trying to scramble and pick up everything that, much like I told Derek the other day, and I even told Marnie, I know I'm forgetting something. And sure enough, last night at 10 to 5, Sarah called me from the medical examiner's office and wanted to know about the contract. And so then it dawned on me what I was forgetting. So we got that pushed in, but year end is what it is. So with that, once again, wish you all a happy holiday, and we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.